Too old?
Too old?
That's
no, not too old. It's not the right thing.
It's all very hurtful, so I'm going to let you go now.
No, you'd be all right, I think. Good luck.
Bye, Lee. All right, take care of yourself. It's 9 o'clock. It's the 9 till noon show. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Boris Johnson is en route to Belfast in a bid to persuade the DUP to enter power-sharing government again. The British Prime Minister will hold talks with party leaders as concerns grow over the political deadlock at Stormont. In advance of his visit, he wrote in the Belfast Telegraph suggesting that the EU and UK can find a way forward on the Northern Ireland Protocol without the need for overriding changes. However, Agriculture Minister Charlie McConalogue says while the visit today is welcome, there is still the possibility that the British will go on a solo run.
I think it's really important that we see a sense of urgency and leadership from the British government and from Prime Minister Johnson and his cabinet. But certainly it's really disappointing again to see Prime Minister Johnson refer to unilateral action in relation to the protocol, because we have seen many comments similar to this over the last number of weeks and months, and indeed the engagement with between the British government and the European Union from the British government side has left a lot to be desired.
Ukrainian families are being given help in securing school places for their children. The Department of Education says Railth is supporting schools to meet their needs as they emerge. It's confirmed 5,843 Ukrainian pupils are currently enrolled in education across the country. Of those, 259 are in Donegal, 176 of them in primary schools and 83 in post-primary schools. Labour's education spokesperson, Deputy Éadon O'Riordan, says there are some issues, but good work is being done.
I hear of a lot of dislocation happening, of families who have gotten used to one school and then are being told at very short notice that they're moving to a different part of the country. The overall coordination of this, I think, needs to be improved. But in such a short space of time, I think it does show again the fantastic work that does go on in individual schools in our primary and second level sector.
The extra fuel allowance payment will be paid this week. The Social Protection Minister, Heather Humphreys, says over 371,000 households will benefit from the €100 payment from today. That's equivalent to over 3 weeks' fuel allowance. And National Volunteering Week gets underway today. It continues until next Saturday. A specific focus will highlight areas such as health, well-being and the environment on each day of the week. The week will also see events taking place across the country to honour those who volunteered in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. John Curran is manager of the Donegal Volunteering Centre.
We have an event this coming Thursday night with Donegal County Council and being led out by Donegal County Council, where we're taking volunteers that have been nominated by community groups to an event in Jackson's Hotel, just to say thank you, to acknowledge their work in a very small way. There was many thousands of hours put in by volunteers, probably hundreds of thousands of hours put in by volunteers over the COVID period. And it's just a small way for us to say thank you and to recognise those volunteers.
Rain, mist and fog clearing northwards through the morning, leaving a mix of cloud and sunny spells with scattered showers. Some of the showers heavy, a potential for localised thundery downpours, but it'll be dry in most areas by evening. Staying humid today, top temperatures 16 to 18 and moderate south-east winds. Tonight it'll briefly become dry with clear spells, but it will turn cloudier from the south with outbreaks of rain spreading right across the region. Blustery with that rain spreading in strong and gusty southeasterly winds overnight. It'll stay mild though, top temperatures 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Mum, we're starving. Can we have crisps?
Like clockwork, just as they're in from school. When did this become an everyday thing?
Please.
Sure, it's only a little treat. No, you're sticking to the new plan. Guys, remember what we agreed. No junk on weekdays. You can have cheese and crackers, yoghurt or toast.
At 3 p.m. on Tuesday, Joanne started with healthier snacks. Let's go easy on the treats. Start with smaller ones as often to keep your family healthy. Find more ways to start at makeastart.ie. Brought to you by Safe Food, the HSE and Healthy Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9. It's Monday the 16th of May. How are you keeping? I hope your weekend was good. Many of you obviously worked over the weekend. Perhaps you're off today. Whatever it is anyway, hopefully with us for the next 3 hours on the programme. As you know, the lines are open for you as we are on air. You can give Caroline a call on 074 91 25000, 07491 25000, or 086 60 25000. We really appreciate your feedback, as we've a busy show lined up. But as I say, we always say here, of course, the lines are always open for you to raise your issues, to pass on your messages. You might have something serious going on or something light-hearted. We welcome it all. You can email us on comments@highlandradio.com, and feel free to watch the programme if you want to interact with us that way. We're streaming for you live right now on our website, highlandradio.com. We'll go straight to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or on our Facebook pages. And say hello to us there. Good morning to Margaret and Michael, joining us early and saying hello this morning. OK, the Donegal news this morning. Victims of hate crime in Donegal have been urged to report incidences to the Gardaí amid concerns that there's been an underreporting of crimes. The call was made at a vigil held in Letterkenny to mark the 1-month anniversary of the brutal murders of Michael Snee and Aidan Moffat in Sligo. Speaking at the vigil, the chair of the Donegal LGBTQ+ committee, Shauna Devaney, said there have been a number of people who have been victims of hate crime who have not come forward. There are issues around reporting LGBT hate crimes. I know a number of people who have not come forward who have been victims of hate crimes in Letterkenny, and it is the underreported crimes that we are missing out on here, she said. Maybe that is very sadly something that affects you. Maybe you are one of those people that was the victim of hate crime and you didn't want to come forward. Well, help us understand why, and perhaps together we can make some sort of a change. Why would you feel you couldn't come forward? Is it that you didn't want the hassle, you didn't want to antagonise, you didn't think you'd be taken seriously? I don't know. I'm just picking potentials out of the air. But if that is you, talk to us, and we'll see how we can improve things together. OK, the Irish Independent this morning, and this seems irrelevant to most of the people I know, to be honest with you, if not all of them. But buyers on incomes of €100,000 will qualify for a government affordable home scheme that will give them interest-free subsidies, the Irish Independent reveals today. So the combined income into a house would have to be €100,000, and that's to qualify for an affordable home scheme. Now, I would say the overwhelming majority of families in Donegal would struggle to bring €100,000 into the house, but these are the criteria being set out. This has been described as unacceptable by opposition parties. There is an allocation of 60 million this year to deliver around 550 homes under the affordable housing scheme, a scheme signed into law by Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien. But it has emerged that the just published regulation underpinning the scheme will controversially allow home buyers on incomes of up to €100,000 to qualify for it. Now, this is not it's not from €100,000 up, but you could be pulling in €100,000 and still qualify for this scheme. Under the scheme, local authorities provide an interest-free equity stake to buyers who qualify in order to make the homes more affordable, and the councils are providing the land and serviced sites to developers to build the homes. The local authorities get a subsidy from the Department of Housing to cover their costs. So that's the ceiling, €100,000. As I say, that would be well above, I think, anyone I know what their combined income might be. OK, the Irish Times today. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been warned of the consequences of unilateral action on the Northern Ireland Protocol, including the prospect of retaliatory action from Europe. On the eve of Mr Johnson's visit to Belfast, this is yesterday, the government and Sinn Féin said moves to disapply parts of the protocol risk damaging east-west restrictions. Minister for Foreign Affairs Simon Coveney spoke of a landing zone for negotiations and indicated that the European Union was willing to make adjustments through partnership and dialogue due to what he said were legitimate concerns with unionism about the operation of the protocol. Now, I imagine this article has been written without sight of Boris Johnson's article in the Belfast Telegraph, in which he said he would favour a negotiated agreement as opposed to taking unilateral action, which perhaps won't please the DUP too much, because I think they want it out. But that being said, he did say if there wasn't movement from Europe that he would take unilateral action. So there was something for everyone in the audience in his article in that newspaper. Minister Coveney also said that if London moved unilaterally, it would make matters significantly worse, and that then the EU will be forced to respond to that with some sort of retaliation action. Mr. Coveney said it was not helpful to expand on what form that might take, but that a response would be very negative, trading sanctions or whatever. Who is to say? We're going to be speaking to groups representing those on the border later on in the programme to find out their views on the ongoing situation. The Irish Daily Mail tells us that if you undervalued your property, you could be getting a knock on the door from revenue, not literally but metaphorically speaking, because more than 300,000 homeowners who deliberately undervalued their property could have their salary or pension deducted at source, revenue has said. It emerged that over 316,000 people have not updated the value of their home since 2013, even though there's been a huge rise in house prices since the post-crash era. Now, I would argue that, particularly here in the northwest, that whilst we have seen some price rises in property, they have been within bands. So we have seen quite dramatic increases here in terms of available property. But I do believe that this really is not a Donegal story as such. I could be completely wrong, but I think a lot of our price increases you would have stayed within the one band. Maybe not the case elsewhere. But anyway, revenue statistics showed 54% of homeowners say their property is worth less than €262,000, while CSO figures show the average selling price of a Dublin home last year was over €500,000 compared with €326,000 nationally. But as I say, I think a lot of those properties in Donegal would still be under the €262,000 mark. The majority of them perhaps even, in fact. OK, on to the Irish Star today. They tell us that Russia could have suffered losses of more than 45,000 soldiers, one-third of its ground troops in Ukraine since the start of the invasion. This is according to military intelligence reports. And that's an awful loss of life on both sides. And what is it actually achieving? Growing NATO. I don't know what Russia are achieving through it, but that's an incredible amount of people that are dying on a daily basis. That doesn't count, obviously, civilian deaths on the Ukrainian side, and all for what? What will be achieved by this in the end? Maybe Russia will have a little bit of the east of Ukraine. Is that it? Is 45,000 lives and counting justification for that? Now Finland, Sweden are going to be joining NATO, so the security situation for Russia is worsening. So what next and what for? The UK's Ministry of Defence briefing also revealed that Moscow's offensive in the Donbass region has lost momentum and fallen significantly behind schedule. And Ole Sinagubov, Kharkiv's regional governor, stated that Ukrainian forces have launched a counter-offensive as they seek to push back Vladimir Putin's troops. The MOD yesterday posted, despite small-scale initial advances, Russia has failed to achieve substantial territorial gains over the past month, while sustaining consistently high levels of attrition, which is, as I say, on the will of a couple of people that wanted to escalate this. So many people gone and their families destroyed. The Irish Daily Mirror, there's a picture of Liam Neeson. He's got a gun pointed towards a camera. A second picture has him standing on a Donegal coast with an old rifle in his hand. Netflix has released first-look images of Liam Neeson and Ciarán Hinds on their next movie in the land of saints and sinners. In one picture, a moody-looking Neeson is seen pointing a gun at the camera, while a second photo shows Neeson and Hinds, both pals in real life, standing on a cliff side with Neeson aiming a different gun out towards the sea. The Donegal-based movie is set in a remote Irish village where a newly retired assassin finds himself drawn into a lethal game of cat and mouse with a trio of vengeful terrorists. The movie has the all-star cast, including Northern Ireland actors Liam Neeson and Ciarán Hinds, as well as the bankers Colm Meaney. So filming continuing there. Good to see getting some national coverage as well. But here's a story that I just wasn't aware we did or happened. But apparently, nearly 3,000 thoroughbred horses were slaughtered for meat in Ireland since the start of 2020, figures have revealed. It's the first time official data has been published showing the number of animals bred for racing have ended up as food. A total of 1,549 thoroughbreds with passports issued by horse racing conglomerate Weatherby's were slaughtered in 2020, followed by another 1,105 last year. Since January, 305 have been put down. People Before Profit TD Paul Murphy, who received the data from Agriculture Minister Charlie McConalogue in response to a Dáil question, described the figures as quite horrifying. It said, "It seems like the horses are being killed simply because they are not fast enough to win and it's cheaper to kill them." It raises a question about the tens of millions of euro of public money given every year to the racing industry. Now, it is a huge amount of money. The government has provided funding of 1.46 billion to the sector under the Horse and Greyhound and Racing Act since 2001. Now, did you believe that your money, which is helping to support that industry, would support an industry that slaughters so many horses for meat? I didn't know it was happening. That's how naive I am. 086 60 25,000 if you have a view on that. I think Donald referenced this in the news, but just to mention it again, because we did receive a number of calls about this, and we do. More than 370,000 households will be paid €100 extra to help with their rising fuel bills. The fuel allowance boost will go to anyone who received the payment at the end of the last season. This week's cash injection is equivalent to over 3 weeks of the allowance. It'll cost the state 37.1 million and follows a one-off €125 handout that was given to homes in March. So that money should be paid to you this week, and you'll need it, especially if you're running a car, because I note that diesel prices in some places edging very close to €2. I imagine we'll see them over €2. And depending where you buy your petrol, in some garages, forecourts, it's 199.9. In others, it's 182. I presume the people that are charging 199 got a recent delivery of fuel, and other service stations might see their prices going up. But we're heading back over the €2 mark, it would seem, unfortunately. Okay, back with more on the programme after these.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Zilch, nada diddly squat. If you've got savings, that's about as much interest as you're earning. And inflation's eating into the value too. Have you considered investing to potentially grow your money? At Bank of Ireland, we know you've worked hard for your money. And with our expert support, it can work harder for you. So don't rest it, invest it. Visit bankofireland.com, explore investing. Bank of Ireland, begin. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Ireland is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc, trading as Bank of Ireland Life for life assurance and pensions business. Members of Bank of Ireland Group. Bank of Ireland trading as Bank of Ireland Insurance and Investments is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Buy now and then split your payment over 3 months, interest-free, with Klarna at Tinny's Toys, Letterkenny. Now that the evenings are longer, there's loads of great ideas for outdoor fun at Tinny's, like pedal and battery ride-on tractors, cars and jeeps. Also a great range of outdoor toys like swings and slides now in stock. Shopping made easy with Klarna at Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, and at tinnystoys.com for express delivery or click and collect.
Ellen, write what you want to be when you grow up on the blackboard.
Ellen, remember to sign up for the swim team. Ellen, all competitors must register today.
Alan King has written a name into the history books by winning gold for Ireland!
Nothing is written until you write it.
Ellen, can I have your autograph?
You write it, we underwrite it. Allianz, proudly supporting Paralympics Ireland since 2010.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Delighted to welcome onto it now the chair of the Oireachtas EU Affairs Committee, Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh. Good morning, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Greg. Thank you.
It's good to have you with us. I don't know if you've read the highlights from Prime Minister Johnson's article in the Belfast Telegraph today. As I say, there's probably something for everyone in the audience, and something in there also to upset everyone, if you know what I mean. What do you think? What do you think of the headlines coming out of that article as it relates to what we might see unfold over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I haven't read the article, but I've read a few of the quotes that RTE carried in relation to it. And look, my take on it is that while Boris Johnson is here and trying to, obviously there's a big, they're up in the ante to try to get more discussions going and negotiations and all that. it's not in a very hopeful place, to be honest, Greg, in terms of finding a solution in the short term, because there's been a lot of negative rhetoric and pronouncements made through the media that's not helpful, and it's not really acknowledging the very, very challenging situation that we have both politically and economically since Brexit in 2016. So here we are 6 years later, and we're still at an impasse.
Right. So just so we are clear, the Northern Ireland Protocol, the Brexit Protocol, was inserted as part of the Brexit process. Boris Johnson negotiated it and agreed it and put it effectively to the people of Britain via referendum. And it is there to to remove the need for a border between the UK, as it's described with Northern Ireland, and Europe, which is obviously our land border with Northern Ireland. And that's its purpose. That's pretty much it in a nutshell, is it?
It is, yes. And look, there is flexibility within the protocol, and I think Simon Coveney has said this on numerous occasions in the last 2 weeks, that while the protocol is there, as you say, rightly say, the protocol has been democratically endorsed as well, and it's an international agreement. But the difficulty always for Brexit, and as I remember somebody saying straight after the referendum in 2016, Brexit means Brexit. It means that Britain is leaving the European Union, and that means that if you have a business in London and you're looking to export to France or Italy or Spain or wherever within the European Union, that's going to incur tariffs, and there's going to be issues in relation to that. And I suppose the difficulty for the European Union is that same business exporting to Belfast or exporting to France via Belfast. That's where the difficulty is. And it is understandable from a business point of view. Say if there's a business in Dungannon dealing with a business in Edinburgh for the last how many years, for decades, that those goods, the difficulty is what happens in terms of the tariffs in relation to those goods. And that was the beauty of the protocol, where the protocol would allow that to happen. But it's how you prevent those goods going on their unbound journey down through Rosslare and into France and into Spain. And that's where the real difficulty is. And that's going back to my original point, that this is going to require a lot more figuring out and trying to move this forward.
Yeah, but also too, what I think is a really important issue here, and one that's not really being discussed, is what this means for democracy. Because we did have elections very recently in Northern Ireland. 60% of MLAs returned either they or their parties are in favour of the protocol, or understand that the protocol is required but might need some finessing. Okay, and yet everything is being held up over the back. So everything is being held up contrary to that. Do you know what I mean? So, there is an important thing here called democracy, and it is not being respected through this process, many might feel.
Yeah, and a number of parties have come out very strongly saying, since the election in the last week, saying that they want devolved government back up and going. And interestingly, there was a research piece of work done by Liverpool University, and I think it was discussed in your own show, Greg, in relation to the electorate in Northern Ireland during the election were very much saying that they wanted to see their MLAs back working again. So that's a democratic bit. And also going back to 6 years ago, the North voted to remain in the European Union, and that's nearly a double endorsement of what people in the North wants to happen. And I suppose the findings that has been sought during all the different meetings just after Brexit was that the business community in the North are very happy with the protocol arrangements as well. So these are all the issues that we're faced with, and still we're back to that quote that was made, as I said earlier, Brexit meaning Brexit, that there has to be a border, and we had a very strong case to make sure the border wasn't on the island of Ireland, and then obviously the protocol was to try and ensure that the border wasn't on the Irish Sea either. So while I don't give much hope for the short term. I still do believe that we have to find a solution, and the only way we're going to find a solution is to use all the mechanisms. The North-South Ministerial Council will be very active today in keeping an eye on what Boris Johnson and his team are going to be saying. We still have the British-Irish Council on an East-West basis, and when people say, and I heard on some national media fronts last night saying that the relations between Britain and Ireland have never been at a lower ebb. I think I would disagree with that, because I just think the relations and the opportunity for people to be meeting over the last 2 years because of COVID may have lent it to the fact that people haven't been meeting, and I think now more than ever we need to be talking and discussing.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine that people who are stating that maybe feel there's some bad faith actors in this, in that, there's no real advantage in Boris Johnson pursuing this. The people of Britain, generally speaking, I don't think really care. As we say, we know what the democratic will of the people of Northern Ireland is. It feels, some might say, that Boris Johnson is using the DUP and is using this issue in Northern Ireland either as some sort of a bargaining chip with Europe for a bigger picture, or to distract from the terrible state of his own country currently at the moment as it edges towards recession. It could be either or both, or neither, of course. But I think that's probably what, I mean, people aren't acting in good faith here.
Well, there's no question about that. And, Boris Johnson has to sit down with all the parties that he's going to be meeting now in the North in good faith, and that will be an opportunity for the leaders of all those parties to tell him exactly what was agreed, the international agreement. And I know there's going to be plenty strong voices in the North today articulating that and getting that message across. And that's what he has to take away, that there is a democratic outcome here. There is an issue that has to be grappled with in terms of trying to move this forward, because you're correct in saying in terms of the UK economy, the projections from inflation right down to different indicators that the projections for the economic outlook is not in a positive place. And we have to be very, very careful as well in Ireland, because so in the past we would have been in the shadow economically of the UK. Fortunately now we're a stronger economy, a more independent economy, but at the same time Britain not in a good place is not good for Ireland either.
If Britain, Boris Johnson acts unilaterally on this issue, what do you see the EU's retaliation as? I can understand that Minister Simon Coveney doesn't want to be putting that necessarily out, but there's a number of options there. What do you think it might look like if the EU were to retaliate?
Well, you see, this is the other big unknown scenario, and one of the good things is that the EU has the peace process front and centre to every single potential outcome. So the retaliation and outcomes or threats, all these different words and languages, they're so dangerous, because anything that would disturb a peace process, which I know we always say, like 2 decades and more in, that it's still very much in its infancy. It is very fragile, and we have to protect that at all costs, and we're lucky we have the solidarity of the European Union in that regard.
All right, quick question before I let you go. We're going to be discussing this in a moment, but as you'd be aware, we heard from Tánaiste Varadkar on this programme last week that he believes that new legislation on the Defective Blocks Redress Scheme will be passed before the summer. But there are calls for pre-legislative scrutiny of the process, and that's coming from the likes of the Mica Action Group, I believe, and others. I presume it would have to delay it to some extent. I don't know. But do you have a view on whether or not this process should be bypassed to speed it up, or do you think there should be some more scrutiny of the scheme, the legislation?
Yeah, well, I met the group last, I can't remember, was it Tuesday night or Wednesday night? I met the group last Wednesday night, and they were very, very insistent that they do pre-legislative scrutiny. I'm happy to support that. My concern, and I said to them, was about the timeline, but I think if we can ensure that this, will not drag things out, and make sure that if there is pre-legislative scrutiny, to ensure that. Now, I know some people are given a time frame of it might only take a week. I'm not too sure about that, but if that's the case, brilliant. And we're still on track for getting the legislation done before the summer. But
but just in relation to that, if it might only take a week and it can be fast tracked because of the importance of this, why would do you think the Housing Minister would be keen to bypass that process?
Well, I spoke to the Housing Minister after that meeting on Wednesday night, and I put it to him. I suppose his anxiety and his anxiousness is, and he just said it straight out. He says, "Look, this has gone on. It has gone on too long. He wants to get it started. He wants to see houses being built. He wants to ensure that people that are in that limbo place at the moment, not knowing what the time frame is going to be."
Yeah, but given your argument, you could say, well, you probably said to him, well, listen, Minister, we could do this in a week. What would be his resistance to that?
Well, look, it wasn't me who said that it could be done in a week.
No, but you know what I mean, a hypothetical conversation.
Yeah, he's not he wasn't able to give a timeline on it. He just said, look, if we do PLS, this could potentially delay it. So, but look, the group were very insistent in saying, look, it's the right thing to do, and they have a responsibility.
Do you believe it's the right thing to do, or are you just saying, well, if the group thinks so, I'll back the group? Like, what do you actually think yourself?
I think it's the right thing to do in terms of the group's argument that they're feeling a heavy weight of responsibility themselves to the homeowners. So there may not be any substantive changes after the PLS, but there may be something, or it might be an opportunity for a voice to be heard that wasn't heard before. So I think if they believe it's the right thing to do, I'm supportive of that. And secondly, it's so important that we can't allow this to drag out, because it's dragged out far too long at this stage.
All right, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it on both issues there. That was Deputy Joe McHugh, Chair of the Oireachtas EU Affairs Committee, talking ahead of Boris Johnson's visit to Northern Ireland today, a flying visit, in fact, and of course also his views on our next topic will be calls for that pre-legislative scrutiny of the defective blocks scheme. Back after these with that.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
There's a gaggle of monsters you'll see around town, in every colour from bright pink to brown. And just like us, they have hopes, dreams and wishes. A new car, new windows, a holiday diving with fishes. They know just where to go for their dreams to come true. The local credit union who can help you out too. For all of your dreams that are big, small or strange, we've got you covered with our Monster Loan range. Monster Loans from the Credit Union. Imagine more. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. If you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit in the future. Credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
OK, so as I was mentioning to Deputy McHugh there, the Department of Housing is keen to pass a bill to underpin the defective block scheme before the dull summer recess, and we heard that from Leo Varadkar last week as well. But campaigners believe scrutiny is vital to make sure the legislation is satisfactory. The government is considering a plan to bypass pre-legislative scrutiny of a bill, as I say, that will underpin that multi-billion euro redress scheme for homeowners whose houses are damaged by defective concrete blocks. Now, we are joined, firstly, by PRO of the Mica Action Group, Michael Doherty. And I thought it important to speak to you, Michael, because, everyone gets their information from different places, but people might go, hold on a second, we're just at the finishing line here. Why are we all of a sudden potentially pulling this rabbit out of the hat that could, frustrate or delay the process. So why do you as a group believe that this PLS is so important? I'm going for PLS now because I literally can't say the three words together.
Okay. That's okay. No problem. Good morning, Greg. I think the first thing is, I haven't heard. I'm just out of a meeting, so I haven't heard anything that Joe McHugh.
Well, Joe McHugh said he met with you. Okay. He says he met with you on Wednesday. He agrees that if that's what you want, that's the way it should be, and he suggests that it could be done in a week. But he had a conversation with Darragh O'Brien on Wednesday, and Darragh O'Brien says that he's concerned that this could push the whole process back. So that was pretty much the contribution from Joe McHugh.
No problem. No, thanks for that. Simply this is a €2.2 billion scheme, and it's likely to double. We know that 2.2 was based on what they had learned out of Donegal and Mayo, but we also had 4 other counties down the western seaboard, so there were sort of 6 counties in the frame. But we've Engineers Ireland coming back now to tell us that there's 6 other counties, the likes of Dublin, Louth, Meath, Wexford. I can't even remember the rest of them down there, but down that end of the country as well, knocking on the door, and Dublin itself. So we're looking at big numbers. By the time we're finished, we don't know what counties will be left behind. There's 12 out of your 26 in the Republic of Ireland. So that a scheme of this size, which we're told is the biggest in the history of the land. We're told by the minister it's the biggest in the world. How could we possibly not ask for that to be given the full rigours of appropriate scrutiny?
Is there also a lack of trust with perhaps officials at the Department of Housing that may have emerged through this entire process, that they, that old saying, the devil could be in the detail? Well, is that what you want this scrutiny maybe to pick out?
Yeah, well, we need all of that, and there's absolutely a trust issue there, Greg. And I've made no secret of that all along. We had the 90-10 scheme, which I do think that Joe's party at the time and government at the time did think it was a 90-10 scheme. So if you had a total project cost of 300,000, you're going to have to find 30,000. We didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. We felt it should be 100%. But the reality was, by the time the devil in the detail emerged, as you called it, we were into a 60-40 scheme where you're well over 100,000. We can't afford to be hoodwinked twice, and we also need this full scrutiny.
Obviously, this is feeling a little bit like deja vu, because the last time the stick to get the 90-10, so-called 90-10 scheme through was timing. If we need legislation, this could run on for 4 or 5 years. This gets houses built immediately. As it turns out, 6 houses have been repaired by that, and yet here we are now again, and out comes the excuse of time. We can't delay this, and we need to get through. We need to push this through as is without the scrutiny, like it is Groundhog Day.
Yeah, and we are burning time. There's no doubt about that. Nobody knows that more than the homeowners. But I can assure you, at no point was time wasted on the back of the homeowners or the campaign. Every time that we're coming up against delays, it's delays that are initiated in that we have got cabinet meetings pushed out consistently. 7 times we had a push on the cabinet meeting that was going to approve the enhanced scheme from the summer working group. So 7 times so that's why we had the 4th of May was going to be D-Day for us here, and now we've had several shots again. It's going to be the 31st of May. We're still not there. We don't know if it'll pass or not. All we do know is that if they would take on board the real issues that are common sense issues that are preventing homeowners from getting on with things, we wouldn't be delayed. But this concerted effort at every juncture that we meet to try and drag the last penny out of the homeowner in the hope that we'll roll over and say, okay, we've had enough. Well, we're not going to do that. It has to be right. And we use the term right this time, not right first time. That was 90-10. But right this time is what we're going to insist on. If that takes a couple of extra weeks, Greg, so be it.
Yeah, but what if it doesn't? Was the question I was going to ask is the group and those they represent, or it represents, if Darragh O'Brien come back to you, says, right, we'll do the pre-legislative scrutiny, but we're not going to get this passed before the summer recess. It's going to be during the next sitting of the Dáil after the summer holidays, the very generous summer holidays. Is that a price worth paying?
Absolutely, it's a price worth paying, because the minister told us pre-Christmas that we would be at this stage January, February, and now we are 31st of May. They're going to push it all the way through here that you're going to 31st of May. They need 2 weeks then to publish it. So middle of June, they publish it. That's the first time we see it. That's the first time the Dial or the Oireachtas sees it. And then they're going to try and shoehorn it in a month. So we need a week to a week and a half to get a compressed version of PLS in there. And there's 3 key parts to that. And it can be done very quickly. It's normally spread out over weeks. But we've had a lot of contact this week with members, and we know how this works now, and we've got good detail on it. There's 3 meetings. The first one is with the department and the housing agency. And this joint housing committee will interrogate them on that and examine them on that. The next meeting is SDSI and Engineers Ireland, 2 major stakeholders. They'll be cross-examined on it. And then there'll be homeowners, ourselves as reps, and experts that we may wish to bring in with us, which we'll absolutely do. There's 3 meetings that take 2 hours apiece. They're normally spread over weeks. We can compress that into one day in Dublin, a one-hit wonder, go down, get the 3 meetings done, and it takes about a week to a week and a half for the recommendations to come back from that to be presented to the Minister. How could that not be a week and a half? Time well spent. And I would love to see where there was a better week and a half spent between Christmas and now, when this was meant to be put in place.
Arguably, in this whole process, that could be the most important week and a half. Councillor McDermott is joining us also. You were also backing these calls, Martin, and I think I put the question to Michael. You're probably of the view too that this is required because of the trust issues that would be there, understandably.
Yeah, Greg. Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Michael. Look, I mean, it's plain to see over the period of time that we've been involved in this that the trust levels are very low between ourselves and the department. Too many times we've been let down by them. Too many times we've had false promises by them. And I think that it's vitally important, Greg, vitally important that this scheme, that we get a chance to see it, to look at it, and to work through it, because the scheme that's there at the minute is not working, and it's clear to see that it's not working, and we need to make sure that the same mistakes that have been made in the 90-10 scheme are not made again in the new scheme. I think that's why it's vital that it's looked at, but it's also vital that this work is done in a timeline that doesn't, and if possible, doesn't run by the July deadline of when the government go and recess for the summer. And hopefully that can happen. And I think that, if there's a will, there's a way. And I think there certainly is a will to do that. And I think we have to make sure that the way to do it is put in front of us and that is allowed to happen.
The more this is resisted, though, the more it's going to build up that lack of trust, because people are going to say, well, if there's nothing wrong here for us to see, if there's nothing for us to see here, well, let's open it up and let's have a look. And the more that's resisted, even when you have Michael there saying, look, if it means it goes past the summer recess, obviously that's not what we want, but if that's what it takes, that this is scrutinised the way it should be, and these are for the people that are living in these homes, then it's going to make people sit up even more and go, well, what's to hide here?
Absolutely, it's important, and I mean, if there should be nothing to hide at this stage. And Michael and his team and the Mica Action Group have been working day and night since last summer, going through issues with department officials, and I don't think there's any part of the scheme that hasn't been discussed or dealt with in fine detail over the last year. And ourselves and the council, the members of the council, and the Oireachtas members here in the county, and the Minister McConalogue, everybody has been working and trying to get their points and trying to get the points for the people across. So there should be no reason that the department wouldn't want us to see it, wouldn't want us to have an opinion on it, and certainly wouldn't want us to give our opinion, because we're the ones that's living it every day of the week. We're the ones that's dealing with it every day of the week, and we're the ones that knows exactly the problems that we're facing with the scheme that we have. So we're best placed, Michael and his team's best placed, and ourselves are best placed to look at it and say, look, this doesn't work or that won't work. And I think the homeowners deserve that at this stage.
Yeah, because of course the timeline to have the scrutiny here, Michael, and to get it through the summer, it would be tight. That's all based on the fact that there aren't significant issues identified, and we don't go into another round of discussions and debate, potential campaigns. You know what I mean? But then some might say, well, that's precisely why the government don't want this to be looked at. So we're in a tricky situation.
Yeah, well, we're working. We've at least one, if not two, meetings per week with John O'Connor, who's the ex-CEO of the housing agency, and he's the appointed homeowner liaison for the scheme here by Darragh O'Brien. And we also have Darragh O'Brien's special advisor, Kevin Dillon. Both of them we took to Donegal, and they saw for themselves, and we have no doubt that that it had an impact, and we seem to be able to make things move that bit better, particularly with the Taoiseach's visit. And then we have the Taoiseach as well. So, we have got key players that have been up here and seen it firsthand, and seen as believing for a lot of people. We take like a Sharon Moss's house, or Deirdre McLaughlin's in Carndonagh, and, unless you had a heart of stone, you couldn't go in there and not be moved by what they're seeing. So I think that has helped. But the business meetings that we're having every week is about the list of issues that's on that crib sheet, and that's well known at this stage. Based around the 3 pillars, we haven't deviated in the slightest. The first one's around 100% redress. The second one is around the need for the 40-year state-backed guarantee and the science to be respected that says you don't do an outer leaf if the science says an outer leaf doesn't work, right? And then the third one is the excluded homes, the likes of the Hawley homes, the likes of some of the rental families, the likes of partially built homes throughout the land here as well, that were, money sent from America, as they say. People working out there trying to build a home to come back to return to. They may find that by the time they got the block work up and the roof on, that the blocks were cracking. So why would they finish it?
I just want to reference another cohort of people too. That those are renters, stayers, effectively in Mica homes, that would not perhaps be covered by this scheme, and they themselves are facing the threat of homelessness and no housing stock there for them to move into. I don't know how big that number is, but I'd imagine it's significant. And there's an awful lot of people sitting there too in council-owned property that don't know, where they're going to end up, or how that process is going to work, because they're not getting the information either. So there's a lot of people affected by this. Michael, I'm not sure if you heard Leo Varadkar on this programme when 100% was mentioned. He says, well, not everyone's going to get 100%. Now, I don't know if he was referencing those above the caps or not. It wasn't 100% clear to me. Did you read anything into those comments, any cause for concern, or do you understand where he might have been coming from?
Yeah, well, again, this is where a lot of the devil's in the detail. We had SCSI rates. SCSI are an independent body, the Society of Chartered Surveyors Ireland, an independent body, but they were dictated to by the department as to what they could include and not include. So, for example, that's where you got the 2007 regs coming in. That's where you got the fact that you couldn't have a detached garage, boundary walls included. That's them that dictated that you couldn't even get covered for carpets in your floor. You were basically getting the shell of your house. So there will be significant money to be spent. Now, they may turn around and say it's 100%, but it's 100% only of what they deemed eligible costs. So the other costs are real costs that are not included. That's before you move into things like the cap at 420, which means that the larger homes are going to struggle, and we need to see that reflected. We have asked for no upper cap all along. All we've asked for is, if they're going to go down the road of a properly evaluated SCSI number that takes into account all true costs, then there's no need for an upper cap. You're already cost controlled to protect the state by the square foot rate. That's what we have asked for, and that's what we're still asking for. So that's the type of stuff, Greg, that the spin can be 100%, but it's only 100% of a small portion of the real costs and not the real costs. And that's before you take in the inflationary world that we're in right now. And they dictated that they set an SCSI figure at the 28th of February 22 to last for the next 12 months in this environment. And that's the sort of stuff we're up against every day.
Just someone messaging in here then off the back of your comments. So if someone accesses this scheme and has their house rebuilt, what about the likes of kitchen and bathrooms? That's at their own expense.
It will be a square foot rate that'll cover all of that. They've that built into the square foot rate, Greg. So there's a PC sum. They'll not tell us what that is, but there's a PC sum there for a kitchen and sanitary ware built into it. And that's what they've allowed for.
Councillor McDermott, obviously you're a member of Fianna Fáil, and you have access to their offices, ministers and what have you. Are you getting any indications that they will listen to the homeowners and go for pre-legislative scrutiny? This seems to be coming down on party lines, though. There's some stuff being written that, Sinn Féin are pulling the strings on this. I'm sure Michael would reject that, but I'm just concerned that when something starts getting that's what the opposition is saying and this is what the government's saying, that never the twain shall meet. What are you hearing from government reps on the possibility of PLS?
Oh, look, I think the first thing, Greg, is that everybody wants to get this right. We have to get it right. We have an opportunity here to get it right. And if that means that we have to have, and which it, in my opinion, I think it does mean that we have to have some type of scrutiny of the scheme so that we can see where it's going. I'm sure the government are and do want this done. And Michael Martin, when he was here in the county, made it very, very clear that things weren't going fast enough, that it wasn't moving quick enough, that not enough houses were being remediated. So he, as we know, went back and met some department officials in that following week, and it was, as Michael said earlier, moved things on quite quickly after that. And I think the government, are probably nervous as well of timelines and how long this could take if pre-legislative scrutiny was to run on.
But you've covered all bases there. I'm asking you again directly, though. Do you think the government will listen to homeowners and go through this process?
I think they'll have to, Greg. I think we have to do this. I think that's the position we're in. We need the opportunity here to see this, to work through it, and to get this right for the homeowner. So I think we'll have to. Right,
Councillor Martin McDermott, as always, thank you very much indeed. And also to you, Michael, appreciate your time this morning. I really do.
Thanks, Greg.
All right,
Thanks
take
again.
care of
Cheers.
yourself. That is Michael Doherty, PRO of the Mica Action Group. Councillor Martin McDermott there too.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At McGee's.ie, you can create gallery quality art on canvas from your favourite photo, direct from your phone, laptop or PC. Simply upload your favourite picture and have it printed on canvas, transformed into gallery quality art for as little as $44.95. Click and collect or have it delivered to your door ready to hang. Big pics, small prices. At McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny. See McGee's.ie.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Public consultation events will take place across the county during the month of May on development plans and local area plans currently being prepared by the council. These drop-in events provide the opportunity for the public to comment and make submission on areas of interest and concern, to then be considered during the preparation of the following plans. Review of the County Donegal Development Plan 2018 to 2024. Buncrana and Bundoran local area plans, a settlement framework plan for Ballybuffet's Trinaller, and the proposed variation in respect of a wind energy policy framework for the County Development Plan 2018 to 2024 as varied. Full information on locations and dates can be found at donegaldevplan.ie and donegalcoco.ie. Donegal County Council, supporting communities, businesses and the environment.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a city break this summer? You can now fly twice weekly to beautiful Cologne in Germany every Sunday and Thursday with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
All right, a bit of a change in the weather today, isn't it? Outbreaks of rain, mist and fog will clear northwards through the morning. The rest of the day will bring a mix of cloud and sunny spells with scattered showers. Some of those showers will be heavy with the potential for localised thundery downpours. However, it'll become dry in most parts by evening. A humid day with top temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees Celsius in moderate south east winds veering southerly during the morning and increasing fresh locally. Aquila says successive governments have had 10 years to sort out defective blocks. If they were serious, they would regulate the quarries and the cement industry. Self-regulation is no regulation. This scandal will repeat itself in 10 years' time. Celtic Tiger 2. Another, it's time for the Irish people to strive on for a better future. It must be sorted. There's a better future possible for us once we confront our difficult past. Okay, right. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in Northern Ireland today. He is visiting off the back of, obviously, an article he wrote for the Belfast Telegraph and other commentary. Want a quick word with Minister Charlie McConalogue on this, of course, Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine. What is your read of the language you're hearing at the moment and the chance of some progress in getting, things working again in Northern Ireland, Minister?
Good morning, Greg. Listen, I think it's good, first of all, that Prime Minister Johnson is visiting Northern Ireland this morning and that he'll be meeting with all of the party leaders. And I think his message as well to all the parties that they should enter the executive and get the executive back up and running is a good message. And I hope in terms of the meetings he has today that we'll see some progress in that. I'm not sure we will, but I hope that we do. Because there's real challenges and difficulties in Northern Ireland in the same way, in people's everyday lives in the same way as there is right across the rest of the island. And it's important as a government in place to consider those. It's disappointing again to see his comments, though, in relation to the protocol, that the British government would consider unilateral action in terms of changing it. We have seen a lot of commentary like that from the British government over the last.
Do you take any encouragement from the fact, though, that he said that we should, he would prefer to negotiate this first? I mean, is that not maybe opening the door a little bit?
Yeah, well, there has been a lot of negotiation happening and there's been a lot of engagement, and certainly the EU, because obviously this negotiation is done by the EU with the UK, and we've worked very closely with the EU as well in terms of trying to support a protocol which actually would be as practical as it possibly can be, understanding that there does have to be a protocol there to ensure that Northern Ireland has access to both the markets, the British market as well as the EU market, and that's something that in the long term, and we're already seeing it, that's something that gives the Northern Ireland a competitive advantage that no other part of the European continent actually has. But it does require, at the end of the day, the British government did sign up to that protocol, which we had advocated very strongly for as an Irish government. They signed up to that as part of the Brexit agreement. It's an international agreement. It was put in place to facilitate access to both markets. We didn't want any, obviously, change we didn't want Brexit to happen, but we've had to try and make it work as best possible for Northern Ireland in the way that's most positive for it. And what we need now is more engagement between the British government with the EU, but there needs to be a respect there as well. And just, once again, making commentary that you would unilaterally change something which you agreed to is not helpful to that. And as the Taoiseach said yesterday, what we need to see is a sincere and professional engagement from the British government with the EU, and certainly we'd be really supportive of that as the Irish government, working with the EU to try and ensure that we have a protocol which is as practical as possible and works well for Northern Ireland.
Because of course, I mean, there's a lot on from our perspective. Obviously, we want to see decision making taking place in Northern Ireland. We don't want anything that would see us going backwards in terms of the peace process, etc. But from an EU perspective, they're talking and concerned about all I've mentioned, but also it's the integrity of the union itself as well. So there's an awful lot at stake here for the EU, and they're not going to completely unravel this negotiated protocol.
Oh, and listen, Marcus Stekovich, who is the EU Commissioner or the EU Commission's Brexit negotiator, like he said clearly last week that unilateral action by the British government in relation to the protocol would put the position of Northern Ireland or Northern Ireland's position in the single market at risk, which is the reality, and that's why the protocol is necessary. So it is. I mean, it's not very responsible by the British government to do this. Right throughout the Brexit campaigning and through the Brexit negotiation process, I don't believe full consideration or recognition was given to what Brexit meant for the challenge that was there in Northern Ireland. It was always something that all of the Irish political parties were very focused on, and it was the reason for that protocol being put in place in the first instance. So we obviously have to make it work now, but that requires both the British government and the EU working together responsibly to do that. And listen, I hope we'll see that engagement happen over the next few weeks.
All right, just very finally, just to get your views on the record on this programme, we've been speaking this morning about Mike, Defective bloc campaigners, they want pre-legislative scrutiny of this bill that we've heard the government's keen to pass through the summer. Do you back them in those calls, Minister? Do you think it would be useful to have this scrutinised? We could probably do it in a week and a half and still get things sorted before the summer. Or if it takes till the next term of the Dáil, it seems the campaigners are prepared to wait that long as we have this the pre-legislative scrutiny. What's your view?
Well, I think what we need to get it right, and we need to have a scheme that works. And there needs to be, and there has been a lot of engagement with the Mica Action Group, and I met with them last week again as well. And there is a real determination by the government to actually put in place this scheme, to have the new scheme in place as quickly as possible. That requires the legislation to be passed through the Dáil and the Seanad, but it also then requires after that the scheme actually to come in by regulation after that. I think the one thing we can all agree on, Greg, is that we want it to work. We want it to serve homeowners well. It's the number one issue for me. It's the number one issue for all politicians.
Just to try and get a definitive answer, though, do you believe there should be pre-legislative scrutiny of this?
I think there has been massive scrutiny of it already, and I think what we need to try and find a way is to actually get a scheme and legislation.
Why would you resist it then, though, Minister, just briefly?
Excuse me.
Why would you resist the call for PSL or PLS?
Well, because I think if we can actually get a situation where we have legislation which people are supportive of and which actually delivers for homeowners, and to do that in the quickest way possible, that's what would best serve homeowners and best serve getting houses fixed as quickly as possible in the county. And I think that needs to be the approach we take to actually working this through over the next while. But the key thing and my key objective is to make sure it's right. Make sure that the legislation is right, make sure that the scheme that comes after that is right, and make sure that it's done in the best time frame possible.
Okay.
And I think if we work together, we can achieve that.
Minister McConalogue, thank you very much for touching on both issues with us. I appreciate it greatly. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after the news at 10 with Donald Kavanagh.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The chair of Donegal County Council's Mica Redress Committee says he believes the government will have no choice but to submit any future bill on Mica Redress to pre-legislative scrutiny. Councillor Martin McDermott was speaking this morning as the Mica Action Group restated its belief that such a move is an absolute necessity. Last week, Taoiseach Micheál Martin told the Dáil such a move could delay payments by a further 6 months. That was a point echoed by the Housing Minister. However, the PRO of the Mica Action Group, Michael Doherty, told Greg on this morning's 9 till noon show that there doesn't have to be anything like that length of a delay. He believes, given the numbers involved, there is no other option.
This is a €2.2 billion scheme and it's likely to double. We know that 2.2 was based on what they had learned out of Donegal and Mayo, but we also had 4 other counties down the western seaboard. We have Engineers Ireland coming back now to tell us that there's 6 other counties. By the time we're finished, we don't know what counties will be left behind. A scheme of this size, which we're told by the Minister is the biggest in the world, how could we possibly not ask for that to be given the full rigours of appropriate scrutiny?
Boris Johnson is travelling to Belfast today in a bid to persuade the DUP to enter power-sharing government again. The British Prime Minister will hold talks with party leaders as concerns grow over the political deadlock at Stormont. In advance of the visit, he's written in the Belfast Telegraph suggesting that the EU and UK can find a way forward on the Northern Ireland Protocol without the need for overriding changes. However, Agriculture Minister Charlie McConalogue says while the visit is welcome, there is still the possibility that the British government will make a solo move.
I think it's really important that we see a sense of urgency and leadership from the British government and from Prime Minister Johnson and his cabinet. But certainly it's really disappointing again to see Prime Minister Johnson refer to unilateral action in relation to the protocol, because we have seen many comments similar to this over the last number of weeks and months, and indeed the engagement with between the British government and the European Union from the British government side has left a lot to be desired.
Ukrainian families are being given help in securing school places for their children. The Department of Education says Railth is supporting schools to meet their needs as they emerge. It's confirmed 5,843 Ukrainian pupils are currently enrolled in education across the country. Of those, 259 are in Donegal, 176 of them in primary schools and 83 in post-primary. Labour's education spokesperson Edon O'Riordan says there are some issues, but good work is being done.
I hear of a lot of dislocation happening, of families who have gotten used to one school and then are being told at very short notice that they're moving to a different part of the country. The overall coordination of this, I think, needs to be improved, but in such a short space of time, I think it does show again the fantastic work that does go on in individual schools in our primary and second level sector.
Staying in the education sector, in this year's Leaving Cert, students may have to wait longer to get their results. The Irish Times is reporting the exam results won't be issued as usual in mid-August because of a deferred second sitting of tests for students who may be impacted by COVID. To ensure a government pledge that this year's results are no lower than last year's can be achieved. However, third-level institutions are said to be concerned it could mean a later start to the offering of college places and, by extension, a later start to their academic year. Police in County Derry are appealing for information following a 3-vehicle crash in the Main Street area of Feeney just after 9 last night. 4 people were taken to hospital for treatment of their injuries. 2 men remain in a serious condition. The road has since reopened. Police urging anyone who was in the area at the time and witnessed the collision or may have dashcam footage to make contact. And National Volunteering Week gets underway today. It continues until next Saturday. The week will see events take place across the county and the country, including special events honouring those who volunteered in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. John Curran is manager of the Donegal Volunteer Centre.
We have an event this coming Thursday night with Donegal County Council and being led out by Donegal County Council, where we're taking volunteers that have been nominated by community groups to an event in Jackson's Hotel, just to say thank you, to acknowledge their work in a very small way. There was many thousands of hours put in by volunteers, probably hundreds of thousands of hours put in by volunteers over the COVID period. And it's just a small way for us to say thank you and to recognise those volunteers.
Weather forecast: outbreaks of rain, mist and fog clearing northwards through the morning. The rest of the day will bring us a mix of cloud and sunny spells, scattered showers, some heavy with a potential for some localised thundery downpours. It will become dry in most parts by evening and stay humid with top temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees Celsius in moderate southeast winds. It will become briefly drier with clear spells early tonight, but quickly turn cloudier with outbreaks of rain spreading northwards over the entire region. Blustery as the rain spreads, with fresher, strong and gusty southeasterly winds developing. Staying mild though. Top temperatures tonight 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow Tuesday, brighter sunny spells, but showers or longer spells of rain as well, with a risk of some thundery downpours once again. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 16th of May. The death has occurred of Patrick Grant, 5 Cloncool Park, Buncrana, late of Middle Illies, Ballymagan, Buncrana. His remains will repose at his home from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. For 11 o'clock, Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Sadie McCain, née Patton, 25 Ligford Road, Strabane. Sadie's remains will repose at her late home from 3 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 9:15 for Requiem Mass at 10 o'clock in St Eugene's Church, Glenlock, with interment afterwards in Glenlock Cemetery. Family time, please, from 10:30 p.m. to 10:30 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Ward 26 at McGovern Hospital, care of any family member or Charles Lynch, funeral director. The death has taken place of Harry Kerr, 11 Gleneven, Clonbeg, Buncrana, formerly of Coatbridge, Scotland. Remains reposing at his residence. Cremation will take place on Wednesday at 1 o'clock in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to Ash Animal Rescue. The death has taken place of Annie Breen, Middle Door, Bunbeg. Her remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home, Derrybeg, today from 3 p.m. to 7:15. Removal to St Mary's Church, Derrybeg, for 7 o'clock this evening, reposing overnight. Funeral mass there tomorrow morning at 11 with interment afterwards in Maharagallan Cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed live on the Kieran Rorty Funeral Director Facebook page and the Chuck Pubbleworth webcam. The death has taken place of Mickey McGinley, Derry Herriff, Creasla. House private pleas to family only. Remains arriving at St Michael's Church, Creasla this evening at 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral mass there tomorrow morning at 11, followed by burial in Doe Cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to Pro-Life, care of any family member, or James Harkin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Ellen Nora Nellie Coyle, 86 Melmount Road, Strabane. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there this evening at 7 o'clock to St Mary's Church, Melmount. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 10 with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on melmountparish.com. The death has occurred of Philomena Burke, Morris, Inch Island. Removal from her residence this morning at 10:15 to Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Inch, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to ICU Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member, or Murphy Funeral Directors. And the death has taken place of Bridie Aitchison, Park Cottage, Muff. Bridie's funeral mass will take place this morning at 11 o'clock in Sacred Heart Church, Muff, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Funeral mass can be viewed live on sacredheartchurchmuff.com. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Just a note from the court service here, by the way. The jury called for Letterkenny Circuit Court tomorrow, Tuesday, is now not required to attend, but they are requested to attend on Wednesday, the 18th of May at 10:15 a.m. Another caller says, so forgive my ignorance, but why are the Mica Action Group looking to get kitchens and bathrooms covered by the grant scheme, as I wasn't aware that these materials suffered from mica? These things can, along with the windows and doors, they're 100% reusable. Can you explain? Well, I mean, are they definitely 100% usable? In terms of your windows and what have you, you'd be putting them into a home, and those windows could be, subject to older regulations. I would say it'd be quite difficult to take out your tiling and some of the bathroom and kitchenware without damaging it and to get it into that new space. Let's not forget they're having to demolish their houses through no fault of their own. It's not their fault. Separately, I'm going on holidays the first week in June, but I applied for the passports in early April. Still no sign of them. Is anyone else having an issue? Well, everyone's having an issue. It depends on what type of passport it is. Some people are getting online renewals back really, really quickly. If it's children's passports, first-time passports, there are delays, but fingers crossed you might get them. But it's mid-June. You might be as well seeing if a local representative could at least get a potential issue date for you, so you could know whether to try and pursue it further. But I was waiting much longer than that for one. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little bit complicated, but I was waiting longer than 2 months. Greg, am I the only one who gets angry at the attitude of the people complaining about the Catholic ethos in schools? They all want to use the facilities which the Catholic Church has paid for, but want to use them on their own terms. If you don't want a Catholic ethos school, don't sign your children up for it. There are other options, believes a caller. Of course, these schools are well supported by the state as well, of course. And one from Terence before we take a quick break. Hi, Greg. Only want to make a point in relation to the refugee crisis in Ukraine. Why isn't the Irish government putting the same effort into the Syrian refugees crisis as why can't the Red Cross help them poor refugees at Calais? I know and understand they can't be everywhere. However, I personally think this is very unfair to these other refugees that are also suffering too. And why are these refugees being treated differently? That's all. Thanks. Best regards, Terence. Thanks for that, Terence. It is the elephant in the room, and maybe you can draw your own conclusion as to why there is so much assistance being given to Ukrainian refugees, but not Syrian refugees. A lot of people uncomfortable with that scenario as you've outlined. There is no answer that I have to offer. Right, good luck if you're playing the bingo today. Stay with us. More coming up after these.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 16th of May. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S16. It's game number 20. The numbers are 76, 65, 64, 55, 7, 39, 4, 27, 54, and finally 74. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Are you switched on to your energy rights? If you're worried about rising energy costs and are having difficulty paying your gas and electricity bills, you should contact your supplier. Suppliers are required to assist customers in genuine financial difficulty and can put in place payment arrangements to help you manage your energy bills. If you qualify as a vulnerable customer due to health, age, or for other reasons, you can register with your supplier for additional protections. Switch on to your rights and visit cru.ie. Brought to you by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities.
Don't know if you know Alison Pat. Late 40s, couple of kids, been together 17 years. Never married, of course, but that's not a problem. Until something happens, and suddenly words like unmarried, inheritance, and substantial tax bill enter the equation. You never need proper estate planning. Until you do. That's why the experienced team at McElhenny & Associates are here to help. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenny & Associates Solicitors, Stranola.
Okay, I'm really pleased to welcome into studio Declan Nee, who is recently retired paramedic from the National Ambulance Service. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for calling in and having a chat, Declan.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning.
Obviously, there's been a lot of, coverage and lovely outpouring of goodwill towards you since you've made the decision and since it's come to pass. Has that made it more difficult, or has that made it a bit easier for you, or what?
It's actually humbled me, and the pictures there that came out on the Donegal Daily was the Friday, my last working day, and I didn't expect anything because given pandemic we haven't had any chances to have any kind of get-togethers, but all of a sudden I was up at the base after doing a call and there was this gathering of staff, both those on duty, those that were off duty, and actually some retired guys come in as well. And I really was very humbled. I think the guys shed a tear for a while because it did take me back.
Yeah.
But no, definitely it was time. As I say, my body has told me it's time anyway, and my age has also said it's time as well. And the role of the paramedic and the ambulance service has changed over the years. That it's become more challenging as well. So I felt, it's a good time to be able to go.
All right, so and we'll talk more about those changes. 34 years ago, what drew you to the ambulance service, and what did you train for? What did you think you were signing up for?
I suppose it was a case of caring for people was my first kind of thought that it was something I was interested in, and then the healthcare setting was another way. When I got to attend the ambulance course, in those days it was a 6-week course, which was some of the first changes, which now it's a 3-year course. So the 6 weeks was very basic. It was an ambulance aid certificate we were given, And we had 3 days placement in Dublin hospitals. The training was in St Mary's Hospital in Dublin, Phoenix Park. And then you come back, you're basically then on relief panel. And in those days, the relief system wasn't like it is now. You're basically called as needed. And in those days, you might get a shift every week, every few weeks, every month. You might have gaps in between. It was basically 1990.
And was that because we were so well staffed, or was it because we didn't do as much work as we do now?
The demand, I suppose, wasn't there. Plus, the staffing levels, were okay, and they were able to cover from within their own remit, like themselves, like the permanent staff were able to cover shifts as well. So we were basically being brought on just to cover the shortfall. But at that time, it wasn't as needed as it is today. So it was 1991, probably when I got my first big break then, and I started then working between Ballyshannon and Letterkenny, and I started getting more shifts, more long-term shifts. Like I spent 2 summers in Ballyshannon and then back to Letterkenny, and from then 95 was when I got my permanent appointment to Letterkenny, and I've been there since.
And what was your role in the early stages of your career?
Early, I was... Basically, we used to drive the ambulance and offer ambulance aid support. We would have had a nurse in the outstations. The Letterkenny and Sligo stations were known as the bulk stations. They were the first to introduce 2-person crewing, which meant like you had 2 ambulance aid staff, and the nurses were only used to support transfers to external hospitals. So my first years in Ballyshannon, yes, I would have an ambulance nurse on with me. But then when I made my move to Letterkenny, I was 2-person crewing, and you changed roles. You drove some days, you attended in the back other days, or you swapped around depending on calls.
But I mean, obviously, you talked about, and it's different now, the short lead-in time in terms of training. Was it difficult to get used to it because you see everything? And, you know, I don't think it's something you ever would get used to, speaking from other people that have worked, emergency responders. But I can imagine, though, it took a while to sort of say, right, okay, this is what I've signed up for here, because some of this is really, really quite difficult.
Absolutely. Like, there's always the tendency that when you report for duty, your head is starting to turn over what's going to happen today, what's expected, the worst is going to happen. And then maybe when the worst does happen, you with the training, you work through it. And then afterwards, you sit down and maybe have a chat with your colleagues and you go back onto that. But no, it was a learning curve, sometimes a steep learning curve, which was good in one way. But then that's when the training would have kicked in. Like, that's when the training you felt, yeah. And it also made you kind of maybe encourage you to kind of later on to think, well, what else could I maybe learn from this, and what else could we develop? And that's when other training started to come on, and that's bit by bit we were upskilled. And like that's why we ended up being, those of us that trained in the basic course eventually ended up being EMTs, paramedics, and if you wanted to, go on to be an advanced paramedic, which is one of the new titles today, which many of my younger colleagues, which I've seen through the years, and to see them develop is unbelievable. And I often think, as I said to them on Friday, that if ever I feel me or my family need anybody, I would be quite happy to see some of them coming to my door, because the skills that they carry are unbelievable nowadays.
To some extent, are they the unsung heroes? Does the ambulance service, those working within, get the credit they deserve? Because they're, often they're the first arrivals and, maybe stabilising a patient or whatever it might be. Do you think they get as much credit as they deserve for what they do?
I think eventually, when the whole event settles down, a lot of people are very thankful.
Yeah,
you can understand in the middle of a crisis situation, it's all about timing. It's all about, I want my relative looked after, or the person themselves, I want to be looked after. But maybe later on, you get the thank you notes, you get the thank you cards, and it's nice. It really is nice to get that. Even like I must say, on the Facebook messages that I got on the day of retirement, there was a couple from former patients, and actually one very special one from the mother of a child who unfortunately passed because he was carrying ongoing illnesses at a different time. But we would have dealt with that family a few times, and the mother sent a lovely note in to say thank you for the years that we did look after the child, and even though it wasn't like a good outcome eventually for them. But it's nice to get things like that.
Yeah, and you end up then being a real part of someone's life or story, maybe even that you don't realise it until you receive a message like that.
No, and it's strange enough, in that particular incident, I ended up singing at the child's funeral, which really kind of start to finish kind of thing. It was a strange kind of story in one way for me.
Yeah. And is it learned sort of how you? I mean, you don't want to carry, what you see or what you have to deal with, maybe home or through your life or whatever. Is that something that you learn with through the job? And what kind of supports are there now to support, people working with the ambulance service? And how has that changed over the years, I wonder?
Yeah, there is a system now in place, a formal system within work. It's called peer support, and actually I was one of the people that was part of that group, and we're trained up to support our colleagues. So if there's any trauma calls, any particular calls that are difficult, the controls system will notify us, and then we can contact a particular crew and just sit down sometimes either over the phone or go in on a face-to-face and just sit with them for a while and allow them to go over the call or just go over any feelings about it. Or maybe it's just sometimes an initial phone contact and say, look, let us sit with you for a few days and then give us a call in a week's time and see how you are. And then the system isn't such now that we can actually formally then send them on for actually more professional. But the
conversation starts early, so you try and avoid anything building up, or you get the chat going early, and then you can decide from there if there's other directions.
Yeah, in the early days, it was basically left to ourselves to just go have a cup of tea, have a chat with our colleagues, or maybe sometimes that's not a good thing. It's nice to have that extra voice or extra, somebody to listen.
Yeah, and that was an awful lot for you to take on, though, too, because obviously they're going to be speaking to you. Firstly, you're dealing with and there's a lot of positive in there, don't get me wrong. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm focused on this end of it. So, but I recognise how tough a job it can be, and there's other people like, there's even priests, you know what I mean? Often people don't consider what they have to go through and what they witness, and I've asked the same questions of them. But you took on an awful lot because you were dealing obviously with work and everything like that there, but also then being there for your colleagues for those types of conversations that you talk of. It must be just in your nature.
Yeah, I suppose some people would say I'm a quiet, but I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
And I suppose, that lent me to the whole thing, because I remember going for the interview for the peer support work, and it was one of the things I suppose I was able to sell well, and actually the interviewers were able to say to me afterwards, to say, you do come across like a... So that did help, yeah. I'm inclined not to speak too much. I listen more, and then
you use the 2 ears, 1 mouth ratio, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, right. I could probably take a lesson there myself. But talk to me about the highlights of your career, because as I say, I've maybe focused a little bit on the tough part of the job, and it's all tough. But what's lovely about it?
No, there is, like I say. And speaking to Caroline earlier on, there's a roller coaster of things, and there is a downside, as we've kind of spoken to, and they sit with us, and people often say, do you ever kind of harden to it? I said, no, the day that I would harden to it is the day that I need to leave the job. And but no, the upside is to say there's some lovely stories. There's some what we call, I'm not saying black humour, but there is sometimes black humour.
Oh, I know all about it. I know all about it myself. I've been through one of those experiences.
Like for example, there was the call where we got a call for a gentleman who in his 70s who was supposed to have fallen, hit his head. There was supposed to be a lot of blood loss, so the call kind of came in as very urgent. And this was in the south of the county, and I was in Ballyshannon at the time. So myself and my ambulance nurse, we headed off at speed, blue lights, everything going. Arrived at this country cottage, and normally when you arrive at a scene, there's normally people, there's a lot more going on, but the place was very quiet. And so knocked on the door, and the lady came out, and we kind of said, is everything okay? I said, yeah, everything's not too bad. So I said, God, what about your husband? Is your husband okay? Oh yeah, he's fine. He said, oh, you're here to take him to hospital. I said, yeah. What about his head? And I'm like, oh yeah, we managed to put a bandage on that, and we stopped. And I said, well, where is he now? Oh, he's upstairs putting on his Sunday suit because he didn't want to go to hospital unless he was dressed properly. So we had to, there's an element of it. One of the things I learned is too that sometimes when you get a call, the description that you get is so different to when you actually get there. And this was definitely one of those moments. And
but that must be why I think many of us, I'm sure it was a joke, but your parents would say that, you'd have to make sure you change your underwear in case anything happened to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was of an ear, and I presume it was a little bit tongue in cheek, but you can see where the mindset comes from.
Well, I often listen to Brendan Grace's story, the one he tells about where his mother he was going out for a night out, and the mother said, "Make sure you have clean underpants on." And Brendan looked at her and said, "Mammy," he says, "what do you mean?" He said, "Well, I don't want you ending up in hospital and then the nurses and doctors taking down your trousers and find you've dirty underpants on." And he says, "Mammy, if I'm crossing the road and I see a red bus coming towards me, the last thing I'll have is clean underpants."
Exactly, of course.
So then on the upside, there was my first defib, actually, which is to be able to use the defibrillator to start somebody's heart. And we actually, at the time, only introduced the defibrillators because they weren't on the ambulances when I started the job. And we had just done the course, and we had introduced defibrillators to Letterkenny. We had got a call for a gentleman in his early 50s who had chest discomfort. And when we got him, he was okay at the time, stabilised. But about 10-15 minutes out from Letterkenny, he arrested on us. The great thing about it, the training just kicked in. It was like one of those moments when you kind of say, "Wonder, will this work? Will things go?" But everything just seemed to go like clockwork. First shock, and he was back with us.
Wow.
And it was great to be able to go in the next day to coronary care, to sit down and chat to him, and just be able to talk to him and be able to see that for the work that we've done, for the equipment that we now had on board, worked. And
maybe that's the answer, but what do you think over the 3 decades plus has been the changes that has saved most lives, in terms of our response to emergencies? When I say ours, I mean the likes of yours and your colleagues.
The defibrillator is one of the things, and also now that it's also it allows us to actually to able to analyse 12 lead ECGs, which now is able to say that if anybody is having a heart attack that needs treatment now, we have the ability to be able to take them to the PCI in Derry, and that's a big plus. There's also other like access to say that the 118 helicopter, and we also have our HSE Air Corps helicopter that's based in Athlone, and even these things are available. Plus the community first responders, like sometimes they're the unsung heroes too, that they're available to go out to certain calls, and then the voluntaries too at different times. Like there's so much happening now and developed, and it's the Irish Heart Foundation have this thing called chain of survival, which is every link is important. The first person that's there, the next, and so on. And I feel like there's a chain of care now as well from the point of view in the ambulance service as part of that, so where we go to take over from whoever started the process, and then be able to move them into the next level of care. But there's so much like the equipment, as I say, the defib. There's medication which has been given. This, as I say, our advanced paramedics now, where we used to only have oxygen and Entonox on our ambulance at the start. We now, like the EMTs, carry 12 to 14 medications.
They can do stuff that normally happened at hospital an hour later.
Or
you're able to...
on GPs to be able to start the process. Paramedics now have 24. Advanced paramedics have something like 40, 48 medications that can really help to have somebody stabilised and getting better in some way before they get to the ED.
Have you delivered many babies?
Yes.
Is there a lot of Collins?
The thing I always kind of say, Mammy has done it all.
Right, okay.
We're there to assist the process, and I think the one that actually was just recently, actually Christmas week, it was a lovely one, and that we got a call to attend, and mother was just imminent. The birth was imminent, but actually a crew that was off duty was just on its way past the particular house, so they were asked to go as first responders. So they were there, and we arrived in the door, and baby was just arrived at that stage. And then another crew come, because there's always seen that you've got baby to care for, and you've also got mum to care for, so that's why there's 2 crews sent. So at one stage, when everything was settled, I laughed. I looked around and said there were 6 of us standing there, 6 like paramedics and advanced paramedics, and I said to mum, like, who was sitting there quite happy, and dad, I said Christmas week, I said, this is a bit like a nativity show here. So I'm wondering who's going to play the shepherds and who's going to play the wise men. I said we've got a ready-made.
Oh yeah, the newborn's there already. We just need the rest of the crew. Obviously, you and your colleagues are in the business of caring for people, saving lives. That's what you do, and that's what you get into it for, and that's why you continued with training and upskilling yourself. I just wonder, and I don't want to be negative, Declan, but I just wonder, especially as you can't really speak out whilst you're in the job, and maybe you choose not to now, I respect that. When the system is set up so that you can't do your job as effectively as you'd want to be, maybe it is the way we locate our ambulances and the way they're dispatched right across the region. It could be from Kinloch, it could be from Killybegs, wherever it might be. but also to when you're standing there still providing care, of course, at a hospital, and you know you just want to be back out and on the road again, but the system is such that you're delayed there before you can hand off your patient to the hospital and get back ready for a call. Has that changed much over the years, and how big a cause of frustration is it, if you want to talk about it?
I suppose generally I thought, because I know it's probably up for discussion in other avenues and other levels of way above, as I say, used to be my pay grade. But I know, the frustration would probably be in that this thing of being stuck at ED sometimes, but it's also part of a bigger picture, and it's not just like we have the care of the patient that we have in front of us. There's an element sometimes that when we are at ED, I often say to the patients, as I say, that you're not being rushed in, which is maybe a good sign. If you're being rushed in, means you're sicker than expected, because always ED will take in, if you're sick and need immediate attention, you will be brought straight in. The waiting thing is, as I say, is part of a bigger picture. And yes, we are frustrated as much as the ED staff are frustrated, but I think it's also part of maybe it's a tackling thing of who calls for an ambulance sometimes. There's something like that sometimes, and who requests the ambulance, and do people need to come in by ambulance sometimes, or maybe there could be other ways of being brought to hospital, or maybe being seen in the community, and maybe that's where I think
we're probably more a fearful nation now, because everything between every time you open a newspaper, or we try and avoid it as much on this program, but you have the living daylight scared out of you, even down to how much latitude you might give your children to go for a walk or whatever. And I just wonder if we're conditioned to be really much more fearful to make a decision and to stand by it than 34 years ago.
Yeah.
And that we just go, right, err on the side of caution. And that could be, NIDOC could feel like that too. GPs could feel like that too. Yeah. No one wants to catch a case. You know what I mean? I just wonder if that's something we're going to have to factor into the future, because I can't see us all changing at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, because let's say originally when I started the job, there were certain locations in Donegal that even at night time, they wouldn't call a doctor or an ambulance because they didn't want to disturb anybody. Yeah. They would actually wait till the morning unless it was very, very serious. But as you say rightly now, if calls can come in for everything, and some of the things we feel sometimes are so minuscule and like things that don't need
Can you give us an example?
Attention. I suppose that there's an element that if somebody is mobile, like somebody hurts a hand or a finger injury, that if there's cars at the house, and provided there's no blood loss and the person is still conscious and still comfortable, that they could simply be brought in with family support, maybe by car.
In that scenario, just out of interest, could you find yourself dependent on other circumstances, waiting? You can't just hand them off into the ED, go on walking through the doors there. They could be one of the people arguably sitting in an ambulance waiting to be admitted.
Sometimes, but there's a triage system which is now actually been maybe more updated, which I found the last while.
So that could get them out of the ambulance.
Yes,
okay, I get you. Right, I understand.
Yeah.
You talked about your love of music, your love of sport. You've been coaching basketball and what have you. You talked about that, and I'm sure it was a huge honour to be invited by the family to sing at that funeral. Yeah. How important was those interests outside of your job in keeping you on the straight and narrow?
Yeah, big time. Like with Donald here, I was involved with the Letterkenny Music Society and also the Letterkenny Music Drama Group doing different shows. And it was great. It was a great outlet. But it was frustrating. And sometimes too, as I say, I always had a very understanding director, because I'd be saying, I can't get to rehearsal that night because I'm on. And then there was the very incident, we were doing Cash Lenore, the local production here, and I had managed to get all my shifts covered for the week of the show, but one particular one I couldn't. So I was on 8 to 5. Thought 5 o'clock will be finished, plenty of time to get down to the theatre to get sorted out. We got a late call, and I was out at this call, and I laugh at the time because we were just, kept looking at my watch, and my colleague knew that what the story was, so there was a doctor at the call as well, and the doctor kept kind of dragging on the process. Patient was being looked after, the patient was okay, everything was okay, and I kind of bit by bit started edging the doctor out of the ambulance, and we got in. Eventually got down to the theatre just in the nick of time to get on the show. After downwards in the bar afterwards, who did I walk into? The doctor. She says, "Oh, I was wondering why you were pushing me out so much." She says, "Now I know." She said, "But no, the great outlet, the sport, the basketball, like it's always been dealing with the young ones. But again, you're with shift work. It's a very kind of balancing act all the time. Whether or not, as somebody said to me now, there's plenty of time now to go back to all that. I'll have to see.
Well, you've a long career done with a long career done, but I mean you're still young. What do you hope to do with your time?
Well, one of the first things is, as I say, my body was telling me it was time to go because my hip has been playing up, and I need that to get attended to first. And when that's done, then it'll give me a chance to sit and think. I don't know, to do other things. Maybe somebody said, that's a lot of the questions. Sometimes, what are you going to do? I says, retire, which means I'm going to retire. Just sit back and take in the thing. I suppose the great thing about it now, you won't have to look up a shift pattern to see, well, can I go to that?
That takes getting used to, though, too, because even though we go, I can't wait till this is over, you do find yourself, it is part of your life. So you've a bit of getting used to there.
Yeah. But we have a daughter in England, and a family in England, so maybe a chance to maybe catch up with them more often. I have a son now who's hopefully making moves into the music industry, and so when we see him settled in that, then it'll give a chance for myself and my wife then to start our bucket list and maybe catch up on all the things we said.
It's exciting times.
Absolutely, and I must say, please God, I'm looking forward to a lot of it. Yeah.
And I'm sure too, you're not disappearing off the face of the earth. Those friendships that form throughout your career and all, they still hold, and I'm sure you're still there.
Yeah, as I say, we'll be in for a couple every so often just to catch up with them, to hear what the different stories, to hear how things have moved on or not moved on, as the case may be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And more acting, more stage stuff.
I don't know. What is it? James Bond said, never say never.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a great opportunity now, because at least then I won't be kind of running from pillar to post. I can say, right, there's rehearsal, and go and enjoy it. And then
I wonder how you live without the chaos, though.
I'm quite good at, as I often say, sitting on my bum and relaxing.
You can chill out.
Catching up all the sport, maybe watching the Donegal. And unfortunately, my team leads, I'm kind of on
well, that's a roller coaster in and of itself.
Definitely a roller coaster. I might need a defib by the end of the week if things don't go the way they're going.
You know how to use the one anyway. Yeah, indeed. But I suppose mid-table it'd be boring. I mean, you want that bit of excitement, don't you? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there to persecute us.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like everything too. The type of job that you do, you can't do it without a really supportive family too. They have to share you.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? That's kind of the nature of the job, isn't it?
And
with holidays or nights out or functions, or you know what I mean. There's a lot of people have to make sacrifices as well with you.
And initially at the start, when we started, you see, we used to be on call as well at night time, and it was before mobiles, so you had the house phone. So when the phone went in the middle of the night, everybody was wakened. So you had that as well, and but now, you were balancing out, maybe missed things for the youngsters, like things that they were going to you. And like maybe arranging to say, right, I'm finished at 7. I'm supposed to be finished at 7, right, Kathy? We'll go to the cinema maybe at 8 o'clock. Hello, I'm on my way out to such and such. I'll not be back to. So cancel that.
Air codes, have they made a big difference to your job?
Yeah, because we've introduced the kind of sat-nav system, which is added into it, and it helps to get to houses easier. Like, because in the olden days, you'd be told at night time, okay, turn down this lane. It'll be the house with the light on.
And you'd have someone probably standing outside at a crossroads waving, saying it's that way.
Our car comes down. But the thing about the nighttime was, you'd be told it's the house with the light on. No sooner did you turn down, every house had the light on.
Yeah.
So you had to pick. But no, the advancements of that, the whole thing of the sat-navs and the modern communications and that, things are...
Are we good as motorists in getting out of your way?
Most of the time, to be fair, there's sometimes you can't, with country roads, you have to understand, and then you can't force your way through it, and people panic. There's an element of panic. Like, I think maybe this is part of the driving course, that to learn, keep checking your mirrors, do the right things. Some people slow down, whereas actually it's better just to keep going until there's a better place to get past. But to be fair, most of the time they're very good. Yeah.
Those ambulances too, are they difficult to drive? Because they're really just converted vans. There's a lot of weight, and I don't think they're quite as powerful as we might think they are.
With the weight, since they put on the lifts now for the stretchers and things like that, they've added more weight, is right. But no, there's good enough power. Like, I was always seen as the one of the slow drivers of the whole gang. We had plenty of rally drivers that come in, and we literally do have some rally drivers, believe it or not.
Okay,
And but as I say, I always tell them, I'll drive fast when we need to drive fast.
Exactly.
And you have to be careful because, as I say, you've always got the person in the back, you've got your colleagues, you've got road users, you've got to take everybody into account. So
yeah, for sure. Listen, Declan, it's been lovely speaking to you. Anything you want to say just before we wrap up?
Just I wanted to say actually a special thank you to, I got a lot of thank yous on the Facebook page when the thing went up from Donegal Daily. And I just want to say I was humbled by it. I want to thank my colleagues for the gathering that they had that day, but my colleagues who supported me all through the years. I'd like to thank our training officers, actually, because sometimes with the older members of staff, you had to maybe get an extra maybe leeway to get through some of the stuff that's coming on board now. And even the staff in the hospital, because a lot of times there's words of encouragement which we pass to each other and from them, and it's been a special place to be in, special. And I often think sometimes too, I often think of the people that maybe passed in our care, or maybe when we tended, and I often think of the families that we often that sits with us, and we often will look at it and say, is there things we could have done better? And when we've looked at it, we've done everything, and that's all we could ask. And just to finally maybe say a big thank you to Kathy, my wife, and to my two children, Aisling and Oisín, and to all the family. So,
all right, listen. I hope you really enjoy your retirement, Declan, and make the absolute most of it. I'm sure you will. And thanks so much for calling in and having the chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, that was Declan Nee there from Letterkenny. Began working in the ambulance service, an ambulance driver, in 1998. And yesterday was your last day.
Midnight last night.
So you were on shift yesterday as well?
No, I finished actually 2 weeks ago. The Friday of that picture was my last official day, but I had leave kind of mulled up.
Excellent. So it was officially yesterday.
Yes.
All right, Declan, thanks so very much indeed. We'll be back with more on the programme after this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Mum, we're starving. Can we have crisps?
Like clockwork, just as they're in from school. When did this become an everyday thing?
Please.
Sure, it's only a little treat. No, you're sticking to the new plan. Guys, remember what we agreed. No junk on weekdays. You can have cheese and crackers, yoghurt or toast.
At 3 p.m. on Tuesday, Joanne started with healthier snacks. Let's go easy on the treats. Start with smaller ones less often to keep your family healthy. Find more ways to start at makeastart.ie. Brought to you by Safe Food, the HSE and Healthy Ireland.
Sportswear for women at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure in fresh new colours and styles. Nike Pro tees and vests with matching shorts and fitness tights, perfect for working out or just for that leisure look. Under Armour offers new colours, quarter zip tops, t-shirts with matching shorts in different lengths. Complete your fitness look with the latest footwear from Nike, Asics and Brooks. Look the part, play the part, in store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
I've great news for everyone who's looking for a good night's sleep. Restex Beds are looking forward to welcoming you to their brand new showroom at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. It's one of the biggest and best bed and mattress showrooms in the Northwest and has fantastic opening offers now in store. Restex is the most trusted name in beds and mattresses in the Northwest. Why don't you call in and get the bed of your dreams at Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
If you love your GAA, join me, Brendan Devaney, this Monday for the DL debate. It's crunch time for our minor footballers against Monaghan and our senior hurlers against Tyrone. We'll have feedback and analysis from both camps on the big games. And there's a packed weekend of club action to review also. Joining me on Monday to give their highly regarded opinions, it's sports editor with the Donegal Democrat, Alan Foley, and former Derry sharpshooter, Paddy Bradley. All this just after 7 p.m. news this Monday on Highland Radio and podcasted on highlandradio.com.
The DL debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen.
And Brendan will be joining us after 11 to talk about that podcast, reflecting on the weekend's GE action and casting an eye forward as well. I'm delighted to welcome onto the programme now Claus Hebor, who is MA and Ireland expert. Senior gymnasts and folk dancing group from Denmark are touring Ireland, and you don't get much for free these days. There's a free show coming up this week in Letterkenny. Claus, good morning to you.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Right, tell us about this travelling dance group, Claus, please.
It's a little special group. Normally, I just bring normal tourists or business people to Ireland, but this is a gymnastic group, senior gymnastic group. The oldest are 80 years old.
Wow!
And they asked me if I could arrange some shows in Ireland. And after traveling Ireland so many years, I have so many friends all over Ireland who has helped me put these 4 shows together. So I hope we can give them a great experience and they can really see the Irish hospitality, which I have met so often.
Okay, so the note for your diary: Letterkenny, Wednesday this Wednesday coming, the 18th, 11 a.m. at the Ora Leisure Centre, and also the following day in Derry, 12:30 at Ebrington Square in front of the Walled City Brewery. So talk to me about how big this dance group is and what people can look forward to seeing, Claus.
The group is 37 seniors, and as mentioned, up to 80 years old. And, in Denmark, we have this tradition to do gymnastics to music. So it's kind of a mix of exercises combined with folk dancing. And, of course, the purpose is to keep seniors fit and healthy as long as possible, but also to build this community so they have something in common and have fun. And it's very much a Danish thing, I think. I don't think you have much of that in Ireland. You have some other things where you meet and see each other, for example, at the pubs, and that thing we don't have in Denmark at all. When you meet people in Denmark, you go into a club and meet people there. So it's also a social thing for them.
Yeah, but it's activity based.
It's activity-based. Yeah. We have to keep the seniors fit, as long as possible.
Yes, of course. And is it unusual for older people in Denmark to be involved in the likes of gymnastics and folk dancing?
No, it's very common because, I think Danes are very conscious about keeping fit as long as possible, and especially the gymnastic and the folk dancing is very good for seniors. It's not so popular by the younger people, but for seniors, it's a big thing. It's a huge thing.
And of course, too, this is very of Denmark. We will get to experience presumably the sounds and a bit of the culture of your country.
Definitely, you'll hear some Danish folk music. And also see some folk dances, which you probably have never seen. Probably the last time there was some Danes in Donegal was probably 1,000 years ago, and I don't think they were dancing that much at that time.
And who do you think the audience might be? Because it's free and it's in a beautiful setting in the Ora Leisure Centre. It lends itself very well to this type of a performance. Do you think it will be an older generation who will sort of seek inspiration, or right across the board, all ages?
I really hope that there'll be all ages coming there, that the children will grab their seniors and bring them along so they can see and get inspired also to become active. And I know that, in Denmark, things are very divided into age. The young people don't go to see the older ones and the opposite. But I think here in Ireland, you don't have this age thing. Young people also, you also talk to young people at the pub. Young people also listen to the older musicians. So I really hope it will be a mix of young, old, seniors, whoever who has an interest to get three quarters of some nice music and see some active seniors and have a good chat with some friendly Danes.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a lovely thing too, not least obviously coming to Ireland, but this group or previous incarnations of this group, it's not unusual for them to travel. They've been all over the world, or much of it.
They've been all over the world. They've been in Argentina, Canada, Latvia, Estonia, Hungary, Scotland. So it's basically all over the world. And now they wanted to go to Ireland, probably because I told them about the hospitality and the beautiful scenery of Ireland, and especially in Donegal. So and I have some good friends up in Letterkenny, Joe Gibson, who has helped me put this together. So I owe him big thanks for all he has done for this group.
Yeah, and this is a complete aside, but it's all the Ds. They're from Denmark, and they're performing in Donegal, Derry, Dublin and Drogheda. Is that a coincidence?
It's some cities where I have some good connections.
Okay, all the Ds, as I say, all the Ds.
It's not easy to, it's difficult to find a show in Limerick if you don't know anybody in Limerick.
Of course it is. Right, so the show is this Wednesday. It's at 11 a.m. at the Aura Leisure Centre, and people can just walk up, can they, Claus?
Yes, they just walk up, pop up, and there'll probably also be some coffee and tea, and so we can make a nice little show for people and an opportunity to meet some.
Yeah,
the Danes.
And maybe inspire an Irish version of this. It sounds great. I love it. I really do, Claus. I appreciate you coming on the programme and sharing that with us, and the very best of luck with this mini tour. The show's only about 45 minutes, but presumably no one's going to be kicked out straight away. There's an opportunity to chat and what have you as well, Claus.
No, there'll be plenty of time for chatting afterwards, so people can come in and have a good couple of hours, and I really hope that a lot of Letterkenny people would pop in and say hello and clap at the seniors that they are.
Yeah, what else would you be doing on a Wednesday morning? It sounds lovely. All right, brilliant stuff, Claus. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me. See you at the show. Okay,
see you soon. That is Claus there, Claus Hebor, and the Denmark senior gymnasters. It's 37 active seniors, as old as 80, who in previous years have been travelling all over the place, as we heard, Argentina, Canada, Latvia, Estonia, Hungary, Scotland, several other countries too. It's a combination of a culture tour and shows in towns and cities, so they're very experienced, and it's a combination of physical exercises, dance, balance and rhythm, which can be an inspiration to other seniors to get active, as well as a message to all other ages that it is never too late. So that is this Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. at Aura Leisure Centre. Show's about 45 minutes, but there'll be some tea and refreshments there, an opportunity to have a chat and mix and mingle and maybe talk to some of the performers as well. Hopefully there's a huge turnout. Wouldn't it be lovely, considering they've travelled all the way from Denmark, and it is completely free. All right, something really different there. 086 60 25,000. Give us a WhatsApp or a text to that number if you wish.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Fly with Loganair from City of Derry to Edinburgh and immerse yourself in the live shows and street food of the Fringe Festival this summer, with discounts for children aged 11 and under.
Fly with me, I want to take you there, precious moments of this journey, till we're homeward bound again.
Book now at loganair.co.uk. 15 kilo luggage allowance as standard.
They say you should have your second baby first, because with your second baby, you'll have learned what to do, what not to do, what's best for baby and best for you. Like the Loopy Loo range from Lidl. Everything your baby needs, including award-winning nappies from only 99 cent. When you know what to do, Loopy Loo. Available exclusively at Lidl. More for you. See our full range at lidl.ie/Loopy Loo.
Bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30, eyes down 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €5,450 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
A huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture, with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny.
New this week in Home Store and More. All pillows are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price pillows are gone, they're gone. Also, all laundry hampers and baskets and all hotel collection duvet sets are still half price. But when all our half-price laundry hampers and baskets and all our half-price hotel collection duvet sets are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
The Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car for 2022. If you're thinking about making the move to Kia or to upgrade your current Kia, make sure to call in today to iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. With a 7-year warranty as standard, driving a Kia makes sense.
Wetsuit on and underwater by 8.
Aprons on, breakfast orders in, conversation flowing, loving every second.
Every day is different. There's always new faces. It really suits me.
It fits my schedule. I can see friends, do my yoga, balance work with life and enjoy both.
My career in tourism works for me.
And mine works for me.
Get a career in tourism that works for you. Visit tourismcareers.ie. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a city break this summer? You can now fly twice weekly to beautiful Cologne in Germany every Sunday and Thursday with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so the rest of the day will bring a mix of cloud and sunny spells with scattered showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with the potential for localised thundery downpours. However, it'll become dry in most parts by evening. A humid day with top temperatures of 16 to 18 in moderate south-east winds, veering southerly during the morning and increasing fresh locally. Best wishes to Declan on his retirement. Ambulance crews are the unsung heroes of the health service. Another good luck for the future Declan from Danny O'Donnell, nephew of Peg O'Donnell, national school teacher in Letterkenny. Doreen says, such a great man in the community. His singing, his love of basketball and his gentle manner with people through his work. Wishing him and his family best wishes as he retires. Okay, and more of those coming in. Best wishes to Declan. Enjoy your retirement from the family in Convoy. And best wishes to Declan on his retirement. Always a gentleman to work with. On stage, Leslie Long, Cashton Orr there. And you heard Declan reference that. All right, it is the 9 till noon show here in Highland. We have Monday Matters coming up for you between 11 and 12. We'll be talking sport with Brendan, much more as well. Stay with us at 11 o'clock, though. Let's break for the news. And it's good morning once again to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The chair of Donegal County Council's Mica Redress Committee says he believes the government will have no choice but to subject any future bill on Mica Redress to pre-legislative scrutiny. Councillor Mark McDermott was speaking on today's 9 till noon show as the Mica Action Group restated its belief that it's absolutely necessary. Last week, Taoiseach Micheál Martin told the Dáil such a move could delay payments by a further 6 months, a point echoed by the Housing Minister. However, the Mica Action Group's Michael Doherty believes it can happen much more quickly than that. He says, given the figures involved, there's no other option. As the British Prime Minister travels to Northern Ireland for talks on restoring power sharing, Stormont's Sinn Féin leader says they have no desire for a pep talk from him. Boris Johnson's visit comes amid souring tensions with the EU, with reports Westminster may still formally take action on the post-Brexit protocol tomorrow. Michelle O'Neill met the Taoiseach in Dublin this morning ahead of her meeting with the UK leader later today. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson says he's dropping plans for an amnesty for prosecutions during the Troubles. Writing in the Belfast Telegraph today, Boris Johnson said he'd introduce measures in the House of Commons this week to deal with legacy issues, but promised there'd be no blanket amnesty after he listened to people's concerns. He says the new measures will be different from those announced last year. Ukrainian families are being given help in securing school places for their children. The Department of Education says Rail is supporting schools to meet their needs as they emerge. It's confirmed just over 5,800 Ukrainian pupils are currently enrolled in schools across the country. Of those, 259 are in Donegal, 176 of them in primary schools and 83 in post-primary schools. This year's Leaving Cert students, meanwhile, may have to wait a little longer to get their results. The Irish Times is reporting the exam results won't be issued as usual in mid-August because of the deferred second sitting of tests for students who may be impacted by COVID. Third-level institutions are said to be concerned that could mean a later start to the offering of college places and their academic year. And police in County Derry are appealing for information following a 3-vehicle crash on the main street in Feeney just after 9 last night. 4 people brought to hospital for treatment. 2 men remain in a serious condition. The road was closed overnight for a time but has now reopened. And we're back with news again at 12 noon.
All right, Donald, thank you very much.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
By choosing Donegal Creamery's milk, you're supporting over 200 dairy farming families across Donegal in doing what they do best, producing delicious, fresh milk every day. For over 100 years, Donegal Creamery's milk has been brought to you daily from our dairy at Crossroads, Killygordon, the longest established creamery in the region. Support local farms, local families and local jobs by choosing Donegal Creamery's milk.
Harry Jack's Diner, Strabane. American-style diner, ice cream parlor, and takeaway. Opening soon at Market Square, Strabane. For the real diner experience, it will have to be Harry Jack's.
McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing and Tiles, serving the Northwest for over 40 years. Explore our showroom with more than 40 displays. Choose from an array of shower doors, shower trays, baths and bathroom accessories. Speak with an expert about tile selection and wall paneling. We also stock an array of plumbing, heating and stove spare parts, as well as a great selection of kitchen mixers and radiators at our trade counter. Our stove department is also available for you to choose a style that suits your needs and complements your home. McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing, Tiles, Buncrana. We're here for you.
Hi folks, Paul McDavid here, inviting you to join us this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, we welcome local band Expedition. We'll also be joined by singer and fundraiser Remelton native Martin Orr. We've also got some brand new music from around the country. So it's the Monday Night Sessions this Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. right here on Highland Radio.
Sunday, April 3rd was Census Night, and our enumerators have now finished collecting census forms. Every form must be returned, so if your form hasn't been collected, please free post it now to the address on the front of your form. Visit census.ie to find out more. Be counted.
Okay, don't go anywhere, Brendan. He was away again. He comes in late, and then just as you're about to introduce him, he's on his way. Come here, good to have you in.
What about you?
You're a busy man, I know that, by the way. I'm only messing. It's going to be a busy DL debate, a lot to look back on and plenty to look forward on. Obviously, there's going to be a big focus on the club scene. I'll ask you about that. But obviously as well, an awful lot of people will have seen Derry yesterday, see where they're at, see where they're going. It's going to be a cracker against Donegal in a couple of weeks' time, and I wouldn't like to be picking who's going to win that one.
Yeah, and going into yesterday's game, it was hard to pick who would win that, because there was a bit of an asterisk beside that Tyrone performance, because Tyrone had a man sent off and things went against them, and we were like, Monaghan will have learned from it. But yesterday, Derry again showed their absolute class, and a lot of people were saying, which would Donegal prefer? And then at the start of the week I was thinking, man, I'm not sure, but as the week went on I was thinking Derry are obviously the more dangerous team.
You have to beat the best, don't you?
They're on the way up.
Yeah.
You know, they're dangerous. We know Monaghan, and we don't know Derry that well, and you know, they're hungry, and they're, at the minute, you look at it, if they beat us, let's say they do, let's hope they don't, you'll have beaten Tyrone, Monaghan and Donegal, they win in Ulster, which would be a phenomenal achievement. So you have to say fair play to them. And again, like, going into a massive lead in the game, it's something Donegal can't allow.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see if we can, not if we can, but if Derry don't get that goal advantage on us and don't get a run on us, that, you know, maybe that's why the experience of Donegal could count in the second half, as long as we're not chasing the lead, because as we see with Derry, the more they sit in, then it's hard to.
What do you put their resurgence, if you could call it that, down to? Because, you know, I think they've contested only a couple of Ulster finals, both against Donegal, I believe. One defeat, one win. But it's a long time since they would have lifted Ulster. We kind of are spoilt, I think, by the fact that we almost expect it. I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't. But what has changed in Derry?
Yeah, 2008 was the last time we were. Unfortunately, I was on the pitch when it happened. But
Reffing.
Yeah. I don't like it on their memories, Greg. I'll avoid that. But you see certain counties have the pedigree and have the ingredients to do it, and Derry have it. Now, they drop right down to Division 4. There is a thing in Derry, it's been talked about a lot about club and county, that the county seems to need the team to be doing well to get behind it. It's not to get in Donegal. Now, of course, the better it's doing, the more, but there's always a certain level of support in Donegal regardless. Derry doesn't seem to have that. You know, they seem to be turned off of things, and then of course it's almost like a spiral thing. Different managers come in, right? Different players weren't committing, but then Rory came in and he's galvanised them, and now everybody's in. I suppose there's been examples of Donegal in 2011 when Jim took over. Donegal not going that well, players not being asked to train to that level.
But does it come, a bit of it though, like we focus on the Donegal setup, you might go, well, Declan Boner, but with something like that is there more to it? Like, are they, maybe a better team of selectors that are going in, finding the cream of the crop from all clubs that are there, bringing them through? Like, when a county sort of begins to bounce back, it's more than just a manager, isn't it? It must be an attitude or an approach that changes things as well.
I think what Rory was there for that time with Jim. So what you're asking players now to do, the way you're asking players to get up and down the pitch and the level of fitness and conditioning they have to be at, it's much, for me, it would be easier to do that with a team that's raw rather than a team seasoned. If he came in now in Derry, we're a Division 1 team in that, this Rory Gareth input couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But he's like
he's building this,
He's building it, and of course, listen, Greg, their colleges teams are better than ours. They've had brilliant underage teams as well. The pedigrees there, their club
bringing them
football,
through. Yeah.
Everyone's a Derry Club Championship is automatically maybe favourites or second favourites to win Ulster. So the players are there. Like, how they fell so low down to Division 4 was one of them, I suppose, the strangest things I've ever seen in sport. But now they're right back at it, and they're going to be a real handful in the final, but it's set up for a cracking match.
It is. I think it's going to be, whoever wins that is going to be in a really good space. Right, Donegal Miners against Monaghan, the Hurlers against Tyrone, 2 big games.
Yeah, listen, came up short. Listen, Tyrone was always going to be difficult and carried more. Donegal only needed a draw, and they did level. They were chasing Tyrone, but they had 4 in a bounce with about 8 minutes to go. They can pull level, and at that point, I wonder, was Mickey thinking, I wonder if this end up in a draw, this could take us through to Nicky Raggart final game in Croke Park. It would have been massive, but still, we Tyrone pulled away. Casey Feltham had 112, had one of them days. It's a pity, like, everybody wants to get to Croke Park, Nicky Raggart final, but it's still been a great season for Donegal. They're now.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but that would offer you no comfort at all as a player.
I just mean in league terms in that
I know.
2B. Like, it's something Donegal now they're stable in it, and something we couldn't deal with. So there's a lot of progression under Mickey. And listen, Tyrone have a big pick in there. And a huge amount of work been done in Tyrone GA as well for their hurlers. So that was always obviously a difficult assignment, and Donegal coming up short. We'll speak to Mickey later. But the Miners, one of the craziest games in scoring terms I've ever seen. Like, Donegal completely shooting them out. It was 4-6 to 2 points at the start of the match, and you're thinking, from a minor level, Greg, having been around when you were a kid, like, if you're getting blitzed by it, that's it, it's game over. But Monaghan come right back within 3 points of Donegal, which was amazing, and you'd have to hand it to them. But again, you have to hand it to their lads in for not then panicking.
No,
they steadied the
bottling
ship.
it once they see them coming back.
And it's something you wouldn't normally associate with underage teams. But I've never, Greg, I'm thinking back, I've never seen such swings in scoring like that. They had 2-5 on the bounce when they had only 2 points on the board. Real strange stuff. But I guess that's what you get with underage. But Donegal now playing Tyrone, of course, in a minor semi-final. Tyrone won in under-20 All-Ireland at the weekend as well. So listen, them Tyrone boys, and it was just looking at the team sheet there, there's a couple of top Tyrone players' sons playing now, Matty McGleenan and Devon, and of course Canovan's son again, which he's hit 1-7 in the game, and he's just blessed with the dad's abilities.
Yeah, next generation indeed. What else is coming up in the show? I know you've got Alan Foley and former Derry player Paddy Bradley as well, so it's a good cracking lineup. What else he's going to be talking about?
Well, listen, I suppose I want to get Paddy's views, just me and you talking about on the inside in Derry and what the real vibe is in there, and what he made of yesterday's game, and of course the Ulster final. They come up. I want to chat to Alan as well. Of course, the ladies are in the Ulster final next week against Armagh, so big encounter for them. So listen, our minors in the semi-final, our ladies are in the
games are coming thick and fast and at a really high level. Like, it's great to see, isn't it?
You see our hurlers, we're only one game away, like, from a Nicky Raggart. So sport is great in Donegal.
I think the last couple of shows of last year, you were waiting on. You were still doing the show because I think, was it Downings was still in competition?
Yes, that's
was
right.
It? That was it. You were limping through.
Well, listen, we got. Do you know what I was saying, Greg? And even the Camogie and that started up again in Donegal. If you're going to do GAA, we have to try and
and it is
and highlight as much as we can. It's difficult because there's so much going on, but I think just in county terms.
But listen, that's why GAA fans listen to the podcast, because they know you know, they know the people that are on it know what's what. Yeah. So you have to go now and finish it off. And then it's available later on today as a podcast. If you're out for a walk or run or training and you want to listen to people that know what they're talking about, talk about GEA reviewing and previewing. Or you can listen to it on the radio after the 7 o'clock news this evening.
That's it. We might even have a wee bit of poetry on the night, Jerry McLaughlin. We were supposed to have been on last week, but he was missing an action.
Yeah.
That can happen on a Monday, Greg. It doesn't happen to me, of course. But
of course it doesn't, despite everything pointing to the fact that it should.
Them coffees work well on a Monday morning.
Listen, good man, Brendan. Thanks as always. Great to have you on. All right, any views on sport? 086 60 25,000. And Brendan, his show, The DL Debate, it'll be broadcast after 7 o'clock this evening, or you can podcast it a little later on. And we appreciate Brendan coming in and having a quick chat with us. Right, Monday Matters is on the way.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
So you're struggling with your mobile connection?
Yes, I've tried everything.
Have you tried walking in a circle, standing on a chair, shouting instead of speaking?
This is ridiculous.
Best I can do for you, I'm afraid.
Let me be your hero.
Fear not, Super Helpful Mobile has got you covered. With 99% coverage, staying connected has never been easier when you join Tesco Mobile. This is Supermarket Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. 99% population coverage. Visit tescomobile.ie/service/information.
Quick! Write this number down. 91 48 234. Fleming Doors, you know. Industrial doors, garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
The government is supporting Ireland's transition to electric vehicles. €100 million will be invested in EV charging infrastructure over the next 3 years. But first, we want to hear your views. To take part in the Department of Transport's public consultation today, simply visit gov.ie/EV consultation. That's gov.ie/EV consultation.
The O'Neill's Sportswear Massive Warehouse Clearance Sale is back by popular demand. For 1 weekend only, County GA jerseys, leisure wear, including t-shirts, tracksuit bottoms, half-zips, hoodies and jackets, are all reduced to clear. Open from 9 a.m. Friday, May 20th and Sunday, May 22nd. The sale will take place at O'Neill's Sportswear Warehouse off the Melmount Road roundabout, Strabane.
Okay, 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. Thank you so much for all your contacts so far today. We're going to be speaking to our next guest on the show very shortly. A caller says, my son has been given detention, staying an hour after school today. He's got no way home as we depend on the school bus transport system. Is this fair as we have no way of picking him up? Surely this detention hour could be on his lunch break and spread over 2 days. As a parent, do I have rights to tell him to get the bus home and ignore the hour of detention? It's a tough one. It is a tough one. And I think detention is pretty much standard approach, isn't it, to discipline? But if it means that there's no lift home, I don't think the punishment fits in that scenario. And there are other ways of doing it, even a big essay or something that would have to be required there. What is this parent's right? What should they do? They want to know what you think. 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000. Right, okay. We are joined on the programme now by author Siobhan McHale. She's the author of Good Morning, My Beautiful Angel, and joins us on the programme now. Thanks so much, Siobhan, for taking the call, and congratulations on getting the book out there. I'm sure it's been a difficult process, or a process with a whole range of emotions for you, Siobhan.
Good morning, Greg. It has been a difficult journey. It's a journey of grief and survival. But writing was my therapy, so I had been writing to Gemma every day from she went to heaven, and at a stage I thought maybe I should try and put the letters together and in the form of a book. And today I have a book in my hand, and yeah, I'm glad I've went this route.
All right, and we'll talk about your awful loss and the process that you went through and how it arrived to where we're at today. But, tragedy and loss, unfortunately, your family and you personally experienced this going back quite some time, Siobhan.
Yes, going back to the 14th of December 1972, when my sister was murdered by a terrorist bomb outside my parents' public house, and that was a huge tragedy and a loss that my mother and father never got over. And I suppose, we've had loss and tragedy, and Gemma's loss has been the worst tragedy I've had to experience. So we've faced a lot of tragedy, but we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us about Gemma, please, Siobhan.
Gemma was a bright and bubbly girl. She was just loved by everybody, and she loved everyone. She was stunningly beautiful, but she just wasn't beautiful on the outside. It radiated from a huge heart, and she was a perfect daughter. Yeah.
And talk to us, as much as you're comfortable doing, I don't want to in any way sort of promote your upset, which never leaves, of course, but can you tell us about how you lost Gemma?
Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning of the 18th of May 2012, Kieran and I heard a knock at the door. Kieran went to the back door to let Gemma in, as he thought she'd maybe forgotten her key. She was on a return journey from her sister Joanne in Mayo. And I realised the knock wasn't from the back door, it was from the front door. So he came back to the bedroom and pulled on his clothes and went to the front door, and I heard screaming and wailing, and by the time I got to the front door, Kieran was on his knees banging his head off the tiles. The police officer then told me what had happened, and I started screaming on Daddy and realised Daddy was in heaven, and then I started to scream for Mummy and realised Mummy was in a home. And
like in that moment, you almost regressed yourself to sort of to when you were much younger. Is that when you called out for your mum and dad? Did that happen in that moment?
I suppose through my lifetime I've had to call Mummy and Daddy so often, but I realised then I had to be strong and that I had so much to organise, and I knew that it would have to be the support for Kieran and for Joanne, and in the middle of it all I realised too that I must not take medication to drown out what is here, and that was a quote from my mother when her daughter Kathleen was murdered in the bomb.
Yeah.
Mummy immediately said no medication, and that thought just entered my head straight away. So no, I haven't taken medication for to cope.
But in that knock, it changed your life forever, never to be the same again.
Yeah, that's right. Our lives are changed forever, and we try very hard to live alongside the loss of Gemma. It's painful. It's very painful, but we don't have options.
Now, I mean, as if this awful loss wasn't enough, your grief has been further complicated as it relates to the investigation into the crash that took your daughter from you. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. Well, we still don't know what happened on the night. The coroner ruled at the inquest that yes, there was another vehicle, non-traced vehicle. And we believe that. When Kieran went to the scene of the accident that night, he walked up the road and he immediately thought there was another vehicle involved. And we still believe, yes, there's someone or some people out there who know exactly what happened on the night.
And you got some information, did you, off the back end of appeal?
We did. Kieran and Joanne made an appeal on Highland Radio, and our solicitor made appeals in the newspapers. And we did get an anonymous letter. The anonymous letter stated that the rumour in this area was that a certain person was on the road when Gemma was killed. We know the name of the person that's in the anonymous letter. Obviously, I can't disclose that today.
Understood.
But yes.
And have the PSNI investigated that to your satisfaction?
No. they haven't. There has been a lot of negligence in the investigation into Gemma's death, and there's been negligence just on how they reported, made the reports on Gemma's death. And one police officer said that he attended the post-mortem of Gemma McHale, date of birth, that of a 40-year-old woman. I mean, I questioned the day of the inquest. Was he actually there at Gemma's post-mortem, or was it that of a 40-year-old woman?
Mm.
He did apologise to me. The forensic expert began his report. I attended a road traffic scene on the 4th of May 2012, that of Gemma McHale. Gemma's accident was 18th of May.
Yeah, the basic stuff.
The basic stuff that, they probably didn't realise how hurtful it was to parents of a child who had been killed, that they hadn't even got the basic things right.
Yeah. And you've mentioned already, you're in no doubt that Gemma is in heaven with your father. Is that born of a faith that you have, Siobhan?
Oh, I do have a very strong faith, and it's instilled in me by my parents, and Kieran and Joanne are the same. Again, Kieran's parents would have instilled that strong faith. We were a family who got on our knees every night to say the rosary when we were small children. Most of us laughed our way through it at that. But Kieran and I still say the rosary every day. And yes, it is our faith that carries us through the worst days. And we just don't know where we would be if we didn't have the faith.
Now, obviously, after an event like this, we as Irish people were fantastic, and we rally round, and I'm sure you had loads of support from your friends and family and neighbours, and I'm sure to some extent that continues. But there is a period thereafter where people have to get on with their lives, and maybe the check-ins just don't happen as regular as they used to, and then you sort of, as a family, have to try and start moving forward and doing so, maybe not feeling guilty for doing so, and all that big range of emotions that can be there. How difficult was that period for you, Siobhan?
Well, we do have a very supportive family. We have a very supportive community, and we have lots of friends all over the place. And they still do communicate with us, which is great. But one of the things, I suppose, that did help us to move forward was the foundation. The forming of Gemma's Foundation. It's something that came about through the local running group, Mark Connolly, and his Couch to 5K group that he had just formed a few weeks before Gemma's death.
And you do walks and runs every year. And who do you help with the funds raised, Siobhan?
Well, we have a mindfulness program, Relax Kids, going in 6 primary schools. We pay for that facility in the schools. We also have a counsellor going into those 6 primary schools. She works with children who need that bit of extra help. And I think both programs are very beneficial to the schools, and principals, parents, and that have told us how beneficial these programs are. Then we also, we donate then to local charities, maybe to individuals who are struggling. We donate to them MS, cystic fibrosis, quite a lot, Castleberg, Comfort and Terminally Ill Fund. And I would try to help out people if we have the funding there to do it. And
right now, I have the book, Good Morning, My Beautiful Angel. Can you talk to me about how you were writing letters to your beautiful daughter, and how it sort of ended up becoming, this wonderful book I have in my hands here?
For some strange reason, Greg, and I believe it was Gemma herself initiated the writing, I started writing to Gemma every day. So my letters started with Good Morning, My Beautiful Angel, and then, I'd write a bit, leave the pen down, and maybe go back to it and write another bit in the evening. And, I would ask her for help in a lot of things that I was doing, and she never neglected my cries. She always provided an answer and helped me through the days. And I'd been writing for a long time, and I thought, I wonder, could I make a book from this? Or I needed just something to work on, and decided I would try put it all into a book. And I didn't want the book to be just a book of letters, letters to heaven. I wanted to give some information throughout the book as well. So kind of began with life in rural Ireland in the 60s. I was born in 59, so took it from there. We had a very interesting background, and my father was a farmer, and they had a public house as well, so there was, quite a few characters in the public house, and just took it from the beginning right through until the end, and I've ended up with a book.
And do you know when you began writing and it started with, the letters to Gemma, and then you start sort of reflecting on the other things that happened to your family, and I think maybe there's a lot of families, particularly, across Ulster, that will read this and be able to relate to it, because so many families went through similar during the Troubles. But had you really thought and processed everything else that had happened to you and your family, or did that process happen through the writing of the book, I wonder, Siobhan?
Well, I suppose the tragedy of the bomb never left us. There's not a day goes past that we still think, you can hear that explosion in your ears, just that loud bang and the almighty explosion going off, and think about my sister Kathleen, who was killed in it, and Kathleen was out posting her wedding invitations when she was killed. But putting it onto paper has helped to process it even more. It has brought about some healing. And the same with Gemma's death. There has been some healing there, but I don't think there'll ever be a complete healing from the loss of a child. Something we'll carry with us to
It changes us forever, of course.
Yeah.
Can I ask the reader of the book, what do you hope the reader gets from this story, and how might... obviously they get to read an interesting, a story of someone's life and a family's life and what they've been through. But do you think that maybe others that have been predeceased by a child or haven't, what do you think they might get from this book?
I believe there might be something in there that could help them with their grieving process. And, maybe the most important thing is to maybe not be ashamed of anything that they may do in their grieving process, because, it's such a difficult journey that you could be liable to say or do anything. But, the other thing is it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah. Exactly,
I think that's important, that we all believe it's okay to not be okay when you lose a child. It's just such a huge loss that it's very hard to live with it.
She was clearly an amazing young woman who was going to go on and achieve so much. In relation to, I presume it's an ongoing search for justice. How much of your time does that take up? What are you hopeful that something might be achieved?
I am hopeful, and we will never give up. Our quest for justice for Gemma. Mm-hmm. We will keep going. Like at the minute, we are waiting on the OCMT from PSNI to come back to us with the release of the detective's report, mm-hmm. which we haven't received yet, and then we were told it could be released, but it will be redacted, which we're not happy about. At the end of the day, the report is about our child and their findings on the accident. Mm-hmm. So when we get that report, we will then probably go to the Ombudsman, and we have kind of gone as far as we can go on it all.
Yeah.
So the Ombudsman seems the right place to end up.
Okay. Siobhan, the book, Good Morning, My Beautiful Angel, presumably it's available in all good bookstores and online as well. It's been well received from a couple of articles I've read. So you must be very pleased with that, because you've put you into this, you've put your daughter and your family into it, and it's nice when it's well received, presumably.
it is very raw, and there's some humour in it too.
Yeah.
I am pleased with the final product, but
Good.
I'm not going to say I'm proud. I'm not a proud person, so
Well,
you know,
sure.
I'm pleased. Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people around you that can be proud on your behalf, and we all have our own way of feeling. Shant, thank you so much for speaking to us today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Siobhan McHale there. Her book, Good Morning, My Beautiful Angel, it's there. It started off with letters to her daughter in heaven, and grew from there to be a story of their life. Rural Ireland in the 60s it begins with, and goes right through to talk about family, friends and faith. 15 chapters in total. You might find that an interesting read, having heard that interview.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
At Lidl, we do things every day to make life better for us all. Things like being the first retailer to work with farmers on a sustainable beef programme to improve environmental impact, donating over 600,000 meals in the last year through our partnership with Food Cloud, and helping bees by doubling our number of pollinator-friendly stores in 2022. Decision by decision, day by day, we're taking Lidl steps to a better tomorrow. Join us on our journey today at lidlsteps.ie. Lidl, more for you.
Treat your garden to a makeover at GMG Stone Letterkenny. We offer great value on decorative stone, garden paving, slabs and artificial grass, all tailored to your needs with home delivery available. We also supply railway sleepers, whiskey barrels and place sand, all available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday from 9:30am to 6pm. You will find us beside Donaghy Motorhomes on the Port Road. For an appointment, call 087 647 9121. GMG Stone, just what your garden needs.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Treat yourself to a tasty meal at Backstage Bar and Grill, an exciting movie at Century Cinemas, and explore Century Play. Get in touch with our team today on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
Okay, a follow-up to our question from a parent as it relates to detention. A caller says detention is a normal method of punishment in schools for wrongdoing. If a student is given detention for breaching school rules, then there is a penalty to be paid. This may have a knock-on effect to the parents. Perhaps if they had to incur expense in getting their child home from school, it might encourage them to instill into the child the importance of complying with rules and respecting them. This would be a further lesson in social behaviour for the student. Win-win outcome for everyone. Another caller says keeping a child in for detention is a threat to child health and safety. God forbid a child goes missing, gets attacked. They've missed their usual lift and have to make their own way home. Go to a TD with a signature of other parents who see this after-school hours detention as a healthy health and safety issue. Then get government to outlaw this ridiculous practice. Introduce a child psychologist room at the school during school hours for troubled children to get to the root of the cause and work to make the child better. Okay, listen, we might do an online poll on the issue of detention tomorrow to see what you think. That's two very different views, and I can see the argument in both. Greg, just wanted to say thank you to the staff in the A&E in Letterkenny. I had my elderly mum up there on Saturday night and everyone was so good to her. Thank you all. That comes in from Marion in Carndonagh, and I do hope that mum's home and is feeling better now, and it's nice to hear the good things too. Greg, I'm so angry about the child who has an after-school detention. There is a duty of care. The school owes this child. God forbid something happens on his journey home. There are other solutions to the problem at hand. I think there are ways that, a lesson could be learnt, but not doing it that way. I just trying to put myself in that position, and sometimes you're not able to get there and to get the lift home. And where does the punishment lie? Is it actually with the child, or is it with the parents or guardians? A big thank you to the gentleman who paid for the meal for a couple in Oasis Bar yesterday. Fair play. Okay, that's an interesting one. Fair play to him. Greg, what do you think of the Eurovision result? Surely it makes a mockery of the song, which is what it's supposed to be all about. The Irish entry was one of the best entries in a long time, yet we didn't even qualify. Is it time to stop wasting money on this venture? Yeah, listen, I'm over it now. I don't know what to say, to be honest with you. it is what it is. You know, Europe wanted to put its arms around the Ukraine, and that's what they chose to do. It is a song contest after all. It wasn't a fantastic song. I don't think others liked it, perhaps. And then the UK come in second. What was that all about? Normally they get no points. They've had some decent entries in the past, and then they come second. You know, I don't know. I don't know what the story is there. It's plain and simple. These refugees are white. This is a caller earlier on who asked, why are we so quick to help? And rightly so. The Ukrainian refugees, but not the Syrians. This caller believes that it's simply down to race. This is in no means an offence or to take away from the trauma suffered in Ukraine, but it is undeniable that refugees of any other race have not received the same support. Another caller says, Charlie McConalogue says we need to get it right. Is Mica not going on for over 10 years? How much time does he need? And I'm not saying it was not a straight answer, but I don't know. Having asked the question, I'm not sure whether he would be in favour of that legislation being scrutinised or not, to be honest with you. Valuation of homes. Some properties in Letterkenny cannot get a valuation because the council said in the past that they were going to build a road through the area, but it never went ahead. And because of the line on the maps, valuers cannot put a value on the property because people won't buy it with a red line through the property. Even estate agents cannot take these properties on their books. If that's about valuing your property for the revenue for council tax or whatever it's called, local property tax, you can say that too. If local estate agents believes that the house is not easy sold, well then that sets its value, doesn't it? What do you think? 086 60 25,000. Caller has a niece and nephew who are doing summer hours in the hospitality sector. 16-year-old and 20-year-old. The 16-year-old's getting paid €6 an hour and the 20-year-old's getting €8. No extra pay on bank holidays or for Sundays and having to do split shifts starting at 8 a.m. and then back in for the evening. Maybe if they were paid right, they would get more staff. When the employer was approached about an increase in wages, they advised that the money would be made up in tips. It's not fair to treat people like this and then complain that they cannot get staff and say that people won't work. I mean, €6 an hour, I don't know, like, maybe that is not too bad, I don't know, but I think the 20-year-old on €8 an hour, I think it should be $8.50 at least. I don't think you get the full minimum wage until you're 21, but I think you're correct in that if you want to keep and retain staff, you need to pay them. And it doesn't matter if they're 16 or if they're 25, presumably they're doing a job. What do you think? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. But people are going to, you're going to have a huge turnover of staff paying those wages, I think, and then working very hard, especially with the split shifts. Right. We didn't get to take on music at 10:30, so we're going to take it now. We've more to come on the programme, though. Stay right where you are. But here are, or is, I'm not sure, is it are or is? Here is Dire Straits.
with the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
New this week in Home Store and More. All pillows are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price pillows are gone, they're gone. Also, all laundry hampers and baskets and all Hotel Collection duvet sets are still half price. But when all our half price laundry hampers and baskets and all our half price Hotel Collection duvet sets are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing, or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to beautiful Mallorca every Friday this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best beaches. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, the rest of this Monday will bring a mix of cloud and sunny spells with scattered showers. Some will be heavy and there is risk of localised thundery downpours. Though as the day wears on and turns into the evening, it'll be dry in most parts and staying humid, so mild, 16 to 18 degrees. And we'll see what the rest of the week holds for us. Dennis Peoples joins us on the programme now. Dennis, how are you?
Hello, Greg. Not so bad.
Right, people would know you from operating Marie's Kitchen there at the bottom of the town in Letterkenny. Talk to us about the history. How long have you been at it down there?
We've been there now, well, it was 3 months, just up to a week ago.
Right, so, and then the rug pulled from underneath you. You were licensed to operate down there, Dennis, were you?
Yeah, we had a food licence for down there, along with the trading pitches down there.
Okay, then what happened?
Well, basically, when we started out, we decided that, you know, if we were to get the licence, we would go ahead with a tip van, and we'd take the licence for 3 months and just to see how it goes, you know, because there'd been no hot food down there for many years, and we knew that there'd been veg down there and there'd been fish down there, so it was sort of just trial and error, and go with 3 months as opposed to going for a full year licence.
And how did it go for you?
To be honest, the first sort of 6 weeks were kind of quiet. People kind of learning that you were there and getting used to it, and we built up quite a trade then, you know. And you know, a lot of friends made there and a lot of regular customers coming. You know, you nearly could know sort of what day you were going to see the same faces.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. When it's their time for a treat.
Kind of, you knew the order. You saw the person coming, you knew what their order was going to be, you know, and it was going well, and we were happy enough, you know, with it.
Right, so you thought, right, we're 3 months into it. We've seen that we can make this work. So let's get an extension of this trading license. What happened? Why were you refused?
Well, basically, I went to reapply for it and filled out all the forms and sent everything off. And lo and behold, about a week afterwards, I was contacted and told that the town bylaws stated that food couldn't be served during the daytime hours. And on that, that the licence was reviewed, and because it was going to contravene those casual trading bylaws, that it wouldn't be renewed.
And where did this old bylaw come out of? Did it not apply for your 3 month licence?
Well, see, funny enough, Greg, I applied for the licence at day one, and I had all my paperwork ready to submit to the council. I submitted it, but I didn't submit the relevant fee.
Right.
And the reason for that was because I wanted the council to contact me. You know, obviously they're not going to give you a licence if you don't have money. So when they rang me, my first question, or their first question was, we're looking at your licence, but we can't issue it till we get paid. And I said, well, I've been reading actually up here, and I see a bylaw here that says I can't sell food during the daytime hours. And they were sort of, well, leading me to believe it was the first day I'd heard of it. So on the phone that day, the woman I was talking to, she said she would go back to the senior planners and question them on it and come back to me. And within 2 days, she rang me and she said, the senior planner has told me that he can't see any problem with you trading hot food at the Old Town Road. So you can come to the cash office in Lifford or Letterkenny, and we'll pay your fee of €300 and we'll issue your licence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly where it went. And the day they contacted me and told me that they weren't renewing the licence, I pointed that out to them. And I was just basically told that. Well, that's the bylaw, and that's the way it is. Tough luck.
So, is it to do with selling food during the day, or is it proximity to other food outlets?
Well, on the letter here that I'm looking at that was sent out to me, it basically says that the trading of hot foods or preparation thereof during daytime hours as
not permitted, effectively.
Not permitted. And that's the way the bylaw is written.
But could you apply again for a licence, say from, I don't know, 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. or?
No, well, there is a nighttime trader's licence, and I have looked into that as well. But now, the nighttime trader's licence is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday, I think, if it's a bank holiday, and that's from 9 p.m. at night to 4 in the morning. But the fee for that's €3,000.
Oh, my word.
And the only trading pitches at night time are outside the Pulse, outside the old Golden Grill, or outside the social welfare office on the High Road.
Right, so they're designated areas, okay.
Yeah, and it's the same in daytime. Daytime designated areas for trading are only at the Old Dun stores. I think there's a couple of pitches up at the Market Square, but they're sort of like for tables, and they're on the cobblestones. I would imagine that there's a weight restriction as well.
Right, but there. I mean, I presume there's been a bit of investment in this as well for you.
There's been several. There's been quite a bit of investment, and even after buying, purchasing, what we did, we did make several very large upgrades as well.
Because you thought things are going okay. This could be a business, so we can invest a bit.
Well, there was things that we had to do to get us up to HSE standards. A lot of things that we had to do, different changes had to be made, and we did that. But I mean, our ultimate, my idea behind the whole thing was like, you're going to have to crawl before you can walk, and if we make a success of this trailer, well, then we'll look maybe down the line, sort of 5 years' time, you're moving into a premises if you're lucky, and that's basically,
I presume you would feel, or you could argue, Dennis, that this was actually an addition to Letterkenny. This was a hot food outlet in an area with this type of food anyway, particularly, that has been underserved.
Well, there is premises down there. I mean, Kiernan's have a very good deli counter at their shop, and there's a small cafe further up the Lower Main Street that has a nice, they have a nice cafe there as well, nice food. But it's different, if you know what I mean. It's not, like our food. We are like, it's like a takeaway. It's beef dripping. It's not. You're not going to come walking up looking for a salad or But I mean, I had been approached by people the first week we were there, and I mean, I remember one woman distinctly saying to me, she says, "My God," she says, "somebody with half a brain has come back here with food," because I mean, your own colleague Marty Friel had a cafe down there for a while as well, and it was going quite well. And
right.
I mean. There's been nothing since that.
What's your next step then?
Well, we have been searching around the town for another sort of a place to set up. The ironic thing about it is, Greg, that if we find private land where we can set up, we can actually pull into it and pay no license fee at all. And we can trade whatever hours we want from morning to night.
Just the fact that it's on state land, really, effectively.
Well, it's inside the town boundary. You see that they'll tell you have to have a license.
You've a big catchment area out that direction. Would it work if you moved further out towards Glenties?
Well, it is, but it's finding a place. That you need to find a place that's sort of safe as well for passing traffic, and about a room. It takes about a room, and I mean it's. There's endless possibilities out of the town as well, but it's a fact that sort of what I looked at it. I mean, a phone call at 3:15 on a Friday evening telling you that, right, you're done and you're finished on Tuesday. We never traded on a Monday and Tuesday, so basically you sell your stock tomorrow or throw it in the bin.
Is it possible that maybe this is the fair outcome for other established businesses? That, I'm not naming any businesses or suggesting anything, by the way, but, there could be a concern maybe that you could be taking trade from businesses that have to pay rent, that have to pay their rates in the water, and I'm sure that you incur those costs and what have you. Do you think it's possible that maybe there were some established businesses that thought that, this was unfair competition?
Well, I don't know. I mean, nobody had approached us with any complaints. I mean, Dunn Stores down there had been, I couldn't say enough for
Okay.
Gabriel Rogers and the gang. I mean, they had fully supported us, and I mean, Gildays Butchers down there, they were fully supporting us too. A lot of our stock was actually, taken directly from the local area.
I get you. Yeah. All right. I mean, it's a right. It's just an awful situation for you. But you're there's a couple of final options to pursue, Dennis. But after that, what can you do?
Well, very little. Very little, to be honest with you. We do have another location well outside of town, out in Castle Shanahan, as we know that's there as well. But trying to start up somewhere new, you can go back to where you were, or you can try and get your place back in Letterkenny. And after that, it's going to take, you're talking about 3 months, at the very minimum 3 months to start up in a new location again.
For sure. All right, Dennis, listen, keep us updated. I wish you luck in that, and you can get back trading as soon as is possible. Dennis Peoples there from Marie's Kitchen, 086 60 25,000. So we did a snap poll on our social media. It was off the back of this text. My son is being kept in for an hour of after-school detention. He depends on the school bus and has no way home. Could he do it over 2 lunch breaks? And do I, as a parent, have the right to tell him to come home this evening instead? Well, we put it out on Twitter. We put it out on Instagram. Non-scientific, but it's a quick straw poll of views out there. On Twitter, people said send him home. 89% bar the shouting. Another says 11% that he should stay in school and service detention. The margin's slightly different on Instagram, but the outcome the same. Send him home. 82% of you believe that the parent should tell him to just come home as normal. 18% there believe that he should stay in and serve his detention. So the majority of people are in favour of this parent just telling their child to get on the bus because we can't pick you up and there's dangers there and no way of getting you home. Okay, so in terms of our Instagram and Twitter friends, they back you up on that. A caller says the minimum wage should be paid to anyone that's over 18, which is over €10 per hour. By not paying that is discrimination against their age. That's illegal. It may well be legal, but the minimum wage, its full rate, unless I've misread the situation, does not kick in until you're 21, which I don't understand. 2 fully grown adults, perhaps not fully grown, but I hope you take my point, aged 18 and 21, on 2 different wages. It doesn't make a great deal of sense to me. Just wondering why is the street lighting is on day and night on the Port Road in Letterkenny. It's from the Dry Arch roundabout to the Polestar roundabout. What a waste of money. This is the case now since work started on the road, almost a year now. Would this money not be better spent maybe to help people pay their energy bills? I don't think on many, I can think on many other good causes. I beg your pardon. But the Port Road to the Dry Arch roundabout, that is where they're doing the nighttime work though, isn't it? They need all the light they can get, I would imagine. I didn't get my €200 off my ES bill. I'm with Bord Gash. Am I the only one, or are there other people who didn't get it? Thank you. You should have received it by now. I would have thought that credit should have been put against your account. Double check your bill though, because you know what I noticed. My bill went through the roof for some reason, and you wouldn't have noticed the that on the bill because it was so high. I had to really read into it and scrutinise it to spot that the money had been credited. Hi, Greg. Was reading one of the Letterkenny local papers today, and I must have read an article by Pat McCart wrong in relation to the average wage in the Republic of Ireland being $50,000 per year. Either that or it has a misprint by the paper. If not, I'd love to apply for said jobs with this average wage. Most people in Donegal do not get beyond 25 grand per year. I'm out of touch here. on my amazing wage of €21,000. I didn't see the article, and I'm not contradicting anyone. I thought the average industrial wage was around about 34, 35 grand. Maybe it's gone up since. I'd be remarked. By the way, if there's another job going, I'll join you and go and get that average wage as well. Right, okay. That is... Sorry, I need to mention here. An odd craft to see off the coast of Southwest Ireland. Marine traffic. The China Coast Guard is off Southwest Ireland. Is that true? I must have a look at that. Okay. Right. That is where we're going to leave it on the programme, as I mentioned. Stay tuned. Coming up after the news at 12, John Breslin is here with Around the Northwest with the usual great mix of music, conversation and little tidbits to keep you entertained. David James is in the hot seat for Jive Time, then at 2:30. And after that, it's Ivan in with his Power Hour Plus. And then it's great to see all the nighttime shows are there for you as well. Marty Friel's in tonight, or is he? I can't remember. I can't remember. But anyway, stay tuned. You don't want to miss the evening's entertainment. You know all the regulars. They're brilliant at what they do. But that's us. That's it for